Hello and welcome to week 7 of ABL's Top Plays. Starting us off at number 5, Dynasty's bottom lane tries to get aggressive as Bishop goes in onto Loki, but the damage is too much and White Lotus walk away with a 2 for 0.
Try to hook, but he hits a minion. Phoenix R is going to be taken low, looking to see if Bishop's going to capitalize. He does. He goes forward with the Essence Slug. Loki is pulling him out. Q comes through. Ignite. The damage just burns. Now D1 Nick is trying to get out. He's walking. The poke's coming in. Good hook, but it doesn't need it.
Next up at number 4, Tak goes all in to defend his top lane turret and finds a double kill plus a shutdown. And he would have gotten away with the 2 if it wasn't for Piero.
Azuki goes down so quickly. He's already been taken solo by the tower. We see the dashboard with perfect execution. Heimer Doodle now just barely trying to run away. The Q comes through. Tak nasty. The kiting. It's not going to be enough. The heal comes through on the mini wave as Tak picks up another kill.
Just barely.
Oh, wait a second. True shot. Rush. They're sending the warning. It's not going to stop Piero.
And at number 3, No Fear eSports find themselves in a tight spot as they try to defend their base. As they engage, Yuumi finds a great final chapter that immobilizes Grim Legion's backline. Without them in the fight, the front line falls and No Fear are able to buy themselves some more time with an ace.
Now, in comes the engage, the Arctic Assault comes through onto 12, and they find the damage with the final chapter. 12, Sleepy Bulbasaur taking damage is going to get burnt down. Jazzy gets blown up. Glacial Prison comes through. Rhynick and Hands of Blood are running. Ikai has already been taken down. Hands of Blood will survive with the shield. Unleash Power comes through to Rhynick. Rhynick surviving for a little bit longer. Prowling Projectile will get a slow. It's an ace, and all of a sudden, No Fear.
Coming in at number 2, Dorhan finds a snap engage onto 3 members of White Lotus, and Dynasty eSports pounces. Bishop's Ezreal finds some crucial kills, but he steps too far forward and falls to D-Dog. Kessler then finds himself in a 1v2, but clutches it out with a perfect seismic shove combination.
Out here, but Ezreal's doing so much damage and work. Phoenix and Loki gonna get both taken down for a double kill. He's trying to poke back, but D-Dog goes back in for the easy Slayer. Now he comes through with charge and trying to launch onto Kessler. He's gonna lose Scarl, but it's not gonna be enough as we see Jock buffed and flash forward. Then he knocks forward and he goes solo for a double kill on Kessler.
And finally at number 1, First Blood's jungler goes on an interesting walk through the jungle and Team Fish Tacos look to push their numbers advantage. Tibbs has other plans though as he hops in with Gnar and wallops First Blood with a beautiful ultimate that earns him a quadra kill.
Azuki in this backline gonna get caught. He goes for the stun on purpose, trying to burn through the damage, but it's not gonna be enough. Tibbs taking on the kill for a triple stun in the backline over the wall. That's a quadra kill on Tibbs.
That was an incredible play.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of ABL Top Plays. We'll see you next week as we track the league's biggest plays around Summoner's Rift.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to ABL Season 7 Quarterfinals as White Lotus eSports will be taking on Grim Legion eSports in a best of 5. I'm your play-by-play caster, Milky Cyril, and joining me in the casting booth is Nalina. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing well. I think this is gonna be an interesting series between kind of two similar teams, kind of teams that have similar styles that really want to play through their bot lane and then eventually towards team fighting. So I'm really interested to see the clash, and hopefully we're gonna get a long series.
Yeah, and as we were talking before we came live, there's a lot of stuff that we can talk about, but let's start off with this bot lane. Loki Dosi Phoenix for the side of White Lotus, Ikaya and Sleepy for the side of Grim Legion. And I know you specifically do like this bot lane from the side of Grim Legion.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of how they've been playing recently. Kind of, doing some untraditional picks with, obviously, we've seen some Tristana, right? Something that's not been played a lot in bot lane and a lot in other lanes, but Akaya's made it work, and especially when Grim Legion keeps picking these big frontliners that can help protect him, basically let him do that initial damage. It's easy for him then to kind of take over these fights, which we've kind of seen in these previous series. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this dual lane matchup. Loki and Phoenix, they've been very consistent, and they do really well with a lead, and I think they're a really talented player. So it's going to be a challenge, I think, a bigger challenge, especially for Grim Legion compared to their previous series that they've played. Obviously, they haven't played the greatest of opponents, but they have all the momentum right now. Actually, both teams have momentum. White Lotus just came from a big win against Dynasty, and Grim Legion has gone to a 3-series winning streak. So both teams have really big momentum, and maybe, who knows, maybe potentially could be looking for an upset towards the semifinals.
Yeah, as you mentioned, White Lotus coming off that victory against the Dynasty, which was massive because it meant that Dynasty would no longer win a regular season. So it kind of affects things in how it will look for the semi-finals. But going back to Grim Legion, they played all the hard teams at the start of Season 7, and then I got to cast their final 2 games, which was against Polar Ace and No Fear. You casted with me for their last game, which was against Polar Ace, and I remember one of the big things that you were saying, and one thing that you found very interesting, was the fact that they were going for 2 tanks in the team composition, and they made it work in both of their games.
Yeah, and I think the biggest distinction that they've made is when they play 2 tanks, they're still able to get early advantages, and that always is basically the biggest reason, especially in competitive or non-traditional, especially your top lane, where you can't get this lane advantage, which eventually loses you out on a lot of turret platings compared to a top lane Jace or something along those lines. But when you pick double tanks and you're able to stabilize the early game and even get some advantages from the early game, that gives you a really big power towards the mid to late game, which we've seen from them, and they're able to transition that very well into objectives that they can contest, towers, and team fights, which have been really impressive from them, especially considering how badly their early games, not their early games, but the early games that they've played, the early series that they've played compared to now.
Yeah. And I know while you do really like this bot lane from side of Grim Legion, I'm really looking forward to watching this mid lane matchup, because Ryanek for Grim Legion, he was our MVP in the last few series. I remember he pulled out the Corki a couple of times, which was just so big. And I'm really looking forward to seeing actually if this is going to be let through in the drafting phase. And if it is, will he be as big on this as he was previous?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of picks from Grim Legion that have kind of came up. That could be potential ban worthies. They've played a lot of Trundle, I've mostly seen it top, but I'm sure they can flex it towards the jungle, and especially when Sejuani is really popular, and Jarvan is pretty popular, or Olaf is really popular. Trundle is actually not a bad answer, so I'm gonna be curious if that might be a ban. Obviously, we've seen Ryan X Corki; it was amazing. We've seen Akaya's Tristana; maybe that could be flexed over. Well, it's gonna be interesting to see how the strat's gonna go.
Grim Legion certainly have been pulling out that Trundle. You know, we've seen the Sejuani get picked up from, you know, Polar Ace and No Fear. And then the Trundle comes in, but the Trundle's not in the jungle, it's in the top lane. And one thing that you do like from Grim Legion is the fact that the Nunu gets picked up, and it really works with this kind of chaotic playstyle that Grim Legion like to play, where, you know, they're finding all of these skirmishes that's happening all over the map, but they somehow always manage to find the last eight and come out on top in these fights, and then get these little advantages, and it just keeps on happening throughout a game.
Yeah, especially a champion like Nunu and like Trundle, who can kind of sustain out these fights, has given so much time, I think, for the carries to kind of win these skirmishes out. I think that's the common trend that I've seen, where they've picked these sustained tanks, these Nunus, and plus they've been able, you know, Nunu is probably the best tank that they could get a better early game, get better ganks, be able to snowball their lead much easier. Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting. I'm not sure if this is gonna be banned or not, but I'm actually really curious how this pick ban is gonna go, because obviously Grim Legion plays kind of some untraditional picks, but they've made it work, which means it's a threat. So it really depends on what White Lotus declares a threat. Basically, what champions do they think is going to be the biggest threat to them, depending on how they play, right? Especially Loki, it really has to depend on what Loki and Phoenix wants to deal with, right? If they can't deal with maybe Nunu pressure and they're going to get camped a lot, I don't think that's something that they should be, they're going to be favored in. So that might consider like Nunu bans or something maybe more potentially early game, to prevent some early game tanks and then force Hands of Blood onto more of a traditional tank.
And okay, we talked about, you know, how they kind of I feel like we're not talking enough about White Lotus, but from my perspective anyway, you know, we've seen 2 games of Grim Legion very recently, so I just feel we're more familiar with that. So just kind of explaining why we're focusing more on the side of Grim Legion and not giving much tender loving care to White Lotus. But we can stop kind of predicting what might happen, because we are in picks and bans right now, and White Lotus on the blue side, they'll be getting the first bans in and that crucial first pick.
Yeah, so it's going to be quite interesting. Obviously, the one big thing that I've noticed with White Lotus is they don't play Yuumi. So is that going to be something? Is that something that they're not going to contest? Quinn, I do know. Yes, there's a Quinn one trick. I forget. I think it's D-Dog. No, might be Putney.
Might be Putney,
But I do know there is one Quinn with the Sejuani ban. Okay, Kled, tradition. Some untraditional, traditional. White Lotus is banning standard stuff. Karma, Sejuani, both are very, very high powerful picks, especially early on. Blindable, flexible. Sejuani is just a beast of a tank.
Yeah, and obviously that Corki that we highlighted is still available, as is the likes of the Nunu, the TF, and even a Shen, something that does rotate really, really well. As no ban coming in. Let's see if it's meant to be a Jace ban.
Okay, Jace ban. Interesting. So, some very traditional bans. I think Sejuani is actually pretty smart, since they play Trundle and it's a big threat. They don't really want to risk a Trundle counter pick, and if they don't want to pick it themselves, they don't really want to give it. So Morgana, yes, that is White Lotus's first pick. Morgana most of their series. I think it's a very, very safe pick for Loki. They like to do Caitlyn Lux, Caitlyn Morgana. It's a very, very comfortable lane for them. So I'm going to be curious how Grim Legion's going to respond with this Morgana.
The Caitlyn is open, but I feel like if White Lotus take that, there is still the opportunity of maybe seeing a Zyra Khan coming through from Grim Legion. The Sivir also available, and even maybe something along the lines of the Jinx / Kai'Sa.
I think they'll be okay if it's Zyra Khan. I think Caitlyn Morgana will probably be really well into that lane. I think Caitlyn's even better now since G4 shown and less on the Sivir. So the Corki is very, very powerful picks. G4, a tank, as well as providing great utility to the ult. There's the Caitlyn. It's very safe, not going to get really affected by the Jarvan ult. And then I think this is going to be Silas Jungle. It's a very, very comfort pick for Jason Jungle, I know. So they're kind of building to this. Stivir.
Yeah,
all right.
Sivir comes through. Karma has been banned as well, so they won't be able to pick that. But there's still the likes of, something defensive along the lines of a Braum that could even come through here for Grim Legion. As we'll have to see what they want to ban. Of course, that top lane is still open, so the likes of the Renekton is available, as the Yasuo are going to get banned away from the side of White Lotus. Nautilus getting banned. Another power pick coming through.
It's gonna be interesting. I like where Grim Legion's going, but White Lotus has gotten all their comfort picks so far, and even if they get a better comp, comfort might win out here. So it's really gonna be interesting how this works. Grim Legions has kind of their traditional 2 backline with a tank right now. And I'm going to be curious what direction they want to go with this. I think they're going to need more follow-up. I'm worried that Caitlyn Morgana is going to be able to snowball this, and they're going to have a hard time with the carries getting damage. And Zyra, wow. That is a very... Go ahead.
I was going to say, Zyra is something that I've been spotting a bit more of in team play. So it's kind of wheedled its way, quite literally, weeded its way into the meta. I
like it for the lane, but it's a very, very tough Zyra game in team fights. They're gonna really want to try to get in with the J4, and so Zyra's gonna have to be in the backline trying to waddle his way through. Also, it's extremely vulnerable to ganks. You have obviously Caitlyn Morgana, who can set up any gank, and with Silas coming down, if it is Silas jungle, it's gonna be hard for her to kind of pressure out. So if White Lotus goes with their traditional focusing a lot more on bot lane, I don't know if the Zyra is going to be able to be strong enough to help this lane out or beat this lane out against the Morgana.
The Vladimir will be the final pick for White Lotus going into Rhinex Corki, as Grim Legion have the final pick. It will be for their top lane, and I'd be kind of surprised actually if the Renekton doesn't get picked up here, because I think it's a fairly strong pick right now, and it is open and available for team.
Yeah, I've also picked York. York's not bad. Scion, really interesting.
Okay.
All right, so we have basically engage versus disengage. White Lotus is really going to try to snowball through their bot lane, have the Caitlyn Morgana be extremely strong, set up a siege, force Grim Legion to engage, and use all their tools to disengage. They have Urgot, they have Vladimir, they have Silas. These are really good kind of pseudo carries that can not only provide damage but provide safety for the Caitlyn Morgana. If they try to get in onto them, Caitlyn can escape, do all this backline damage, kill the carries, and then turn these fights around. So it's going to be reliant on the Caitlyn Morgana getting ahead, but it is their comfort. Obviously, Grim Legion, they're going in. They're going to start a fight with Sivir, with J4, trying to either, play it slow, kill the front line, then to the back line, or just go all in towards the back line. So it's kind of interesting draft. I'm a little worried about the Zyra. I think she's the one pick that really doesn't, between those two comps, I think Zyra is the one champion that really doesn't fit into the comp, but we'll see how it works.
Yeah, as I'm looking at this, the side of Grim Legion, thinking about, how do they like to play? They like to go for these extended skirmishes, turn a 1v1 or a 2v2 into a 5v5. And, you have the unstoppable onslaught from the side that can get him towards that mid lane fairly quickly. You've got the package and the Valkyrie from Corki that can also help on the hunt as well. So I do feel like Grim Legion are playing into, their kind of style of play. But I do have to agree with you, Nano, that Zyra kind of feels somewhat out of place. And against the Morgana as well, the CC that you could potentially get feels almost null and void here.
Yeah. Hands of Blood's really gonna have to try as hard as possible to make sure his bot lane doesn't. They do have a winning bot lane matchup. They pick Zyra for the lane. As long as they do not get touched, the Sivir Zyra should be able to get the pressure. But that might be a lot to ask. I don't know if, especially when Sylas gets level 6, that J4 is going to be able to stop a Sylas from coming bot lane, or an Urgot Vladimir who could be potentially running TP to kind of roam down there. So, it's. I think a lot of this is going to come down to the early game, and I like I said before, I think it's gonna come down to how bot lane goes. I think if bot lane goes well for White Lotus, I think it's no matter how bad top side goes, I think it's gonna be an extremely hard game to kind of deal with, especially running through Urgot, running through Vladimir. These are champions that if they get untouched, they are gonna do a lot of damage, no matter how few kills they have. And if they then have a 5-0 Caitlyn sieging on them, are they gonna have enough engage to deal with Vladimir Urgot and kill the Caitlyn Morgana? It's good. I'm curious. It's really gonna be down this early game. I'm really curious to see this game.
And Jason Jungle having picked up the Sylas for White Lotus, considering this the team comp from Grim Legion, you've got the likes of the Unstoppable Onslaught, the Cataclysm, which can be really big for that hijack, but how is this side of Grim Legion? Are they that big of an ultimate for this Sylas?
Yeah, So we have really good ways for engage, obviously, Grim Legion, and then Sylas can obviously steal. I think the ultimates, though, are things that can go in. I think the major ult that Sylas is probably going to steal is Zera ult. That is a big ult you can steal to kind of just help disengage against the Jarvan, help disengage against the Scion, and split up the front line from the back line. If you just put the Zyra ult in the middle and Corki and Sivir has to kind of walk around it, that's less time that the carries are going to be having to do damage, and that's going to be really impactful. As for Grim Legion, their engage tools are obviously the Scion and Jarvan, and while those are good tools, it is against Caitlyn Morgana. Morgana deals really well with Scion, and the rest of White Lotus's comp deals really well with Jarvan. So they both really have good answers. Now, I will state that it's still reliant on White Lotus getting ahead. Because if they don't have a strong Caitlyn, I don't think they're going to be able to pressure. And if they don't have time to pressure, I do think Grim Legion has a better late game comp. I think it's much more reliable with double carries. So gonna be quite it's gonna be quite interesting. Maybe I'm overemphasizing it, but I just want to see how bot lane goes. I like this to see the two really good bot lanes mash up together. And
you've highlighted this bot lane matchup a few times now, Nalina, and again going back to Jason Jungle on the Sylas and Hands of Blood on the J4, where can we really expect to see them focusing their attention and their team's resources in this match?
I think J4 has the pressure early on. Sylas does. I've mostly seen Sylas get going more to around the level 6 when he has his ultimate, but he does clear quite well after his first clear. So if he gets a good 6 timing, I think bot lane is the way to go. Easy kill onto Zyra and Sivir. You can steal J4 ult to kind of ult them down, or you can steal Sivir ult to chase them down. And they're really, really vulnerable to 1cc into a Caitlyn trap, into Caitlyn binding. That's probably free kills. They can go to other lanes, but I'm not sure they're gonna get a big advantage from killing a Scion, and I'm not sure they're gonna really be able to kill Corki. So bot lane for White Lotus. For Grim Legion, they really have a lot of options. I think early on, Vladimir and Urgot kills are really possible. Later, when they get levels, that's not going to be possible, and so it's probably going to be again towards bot lane. So we're probably gonna see a lot of action towards bot unless they want to maybe think of a different game plan that I'm not seeing.
Well, a lot of options available for White Lotus here. However, they might have to play fairly quickly and try to end this game as soon as possible to avoid getting outscaled. We're going to be heading into a short break, and we'll be right back with Game 1 of White Lotus eSports versus Grim Legion eSports. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to game 1 of 5 between White Lotus Esports and Grim Legion Esports. If you haven't already, do subscribe to ABL on Twitch. You get points for doing so, and the more points you get, the likely you are to finish at the top of the standings and get those juicy $10 on PayPal. You can also get points for tips and hosting, as well as betting on which team you believe will win. And I do believe that bets are now open, but you can double check that on the Twitch chat, where we have helpful moderators who are always around to assist you. But getting back to the game, Nalina, this top lane matchup, Urgot into Sion, how
Yeah.
do we really see this going?
So I think previously, right, back when Urgot and Sion were picked 100% of the time, I think it was Sion favorite. However, one rune has kind of changed it, and that is Conquer, which has made it a little bit better for Urgot. So I think it's more of like a 51% towards the Sion. I think it's a really even. I think Sion has slightly an advantage, but I do think Urgot with Conquer can win up the lane. I still think it's a smart pick though from Grim Legion. They like to pick double tanks, and so they need a tank that can basically fill in that void to help the carries out. So I think Sion would have been the best pick here.
As Grim Legion and Hands of Blood going to start on the blue buff, whereas we're going to see Jason Jungle going for the solo clear on the Raptors. But something that we can see coming through is actually the Dark Harvest coming in from Sleepy Bulbasaur on this Zyra.
Yeah, so that is a kind of a greedier summoner choice when you feel like you're going to be able to pressure and win the lane out. That is usually Arcane Comet, obviously, is the safer choice and probably most of the time the better choice, but I think this shows that Sleepy might be comfortable with this champion and is really confident that they're going to be able to kind of win this lane out and pressure as much as possible. And potentially getting the kills, too.
Yeah, we'll have to see whether this Zyra pick for Sleepy Bulbasaur is potentially almost a hidden pocket pick. We have talked about the fact that White Lotus got a lot of their comfort picks in, and with the exception of the Corki, we haven't really seen Grim Legion play many of these champs before.
Yeah, so comfort's gonna be kind of a big deal, obviously, because they're gonna probably play these champions better out, and so I'm gonna be looking to see if White Lotus can use that to get an early advantage. Most of the time, the comfort really matters a lot in the early game, especially champions, what you know your limits are, and if that gets to an early advantage when potentially they could be in losing matchups, it's going to be a big impact, because we're going to see J4 potentially looking for this top lane gank.
Yeah, he might just go for this Scuttle Crab first. D-Dog does have a nice ward available, and speaking of D-Dog, he's getting down a little bit of poke. He's got a nice wave starting to crash in on this top lane turret, and going to get some nice poke off onto Osprey as well.
Yeah, as we're gonna see. Oh, Medking.
Oh, Putney might be getting caught out here. Hands of Blood will be
You'll
looking
be
for
fine.
the flag and drag CC. In comes Valkyrie to get some poke. The Q from Jason Jungle not quite going to find its mark, but D-Dog is now here, and Hands of Blood is the one under threat. The flag and drag to safety flashed forward from Jason Jungle. Hands of Blood will flash to deny the damage from the chain lash, as in comes Sion for some damage. D-Dog gonna get poked down now with the WTP's gonna come in. D-Dog getting poked down quite low, but Osprey's gonna have to back off. He does have the flash available, as Putney has backed and made his way back to the mid lane with that TP, and D-Dog gonna follow Osprey back up to this top lane now.
Interesting set of engages. Obviously, both teams kind of just got really low and didn't get an advantage, and that's why we got to favor a lot, especially since Urgot was able to shove in that wave. That was a big XP loss and a kind of a big sacrifice that the Sion took, so a slight advantage towards White Lotus in that trade. Probably not going to be that impactful though.
And also, if we take a look at Sums as well, both junglers burning their flash, but I guess somewhat crucially, Putney using that TPN was only able to get the amplifying tone out of that early back.
Yes, I don't know if we're gonna see a lot though from the Corki, and if he TP's back afterwards, I think it will be probably just an even trade. I think the Corki just gonna TP back. I think he'll lose pressure and maybe get... No, he's not. Okay.
Going to stay in lane for a little bit. I guess Rhynek probably wants to back and get the Sheen with his first buy.
Yep.
As first Drake of the game is actually a Mountain Drake, so this is going to be something pretty heavily focused from both teams, as in goes the D-Dog with the flip. He's going to find some poke with the shotgun legs. We'll get Osprey fairly low. Both top laners do have their flashes available, so we do have to watch out for that possibility as well.
Yeah, we're probably just gonna see. Oh no, Cyan's not gonna back. I thought we were gonna see just Cyan just pushing the wave as much as possible and TV back, but I guess with Urgot with low mana, he can stay in the lane. Right now, we are not seeing a lot of early game action. I think that really favors White Lotus.
Oh, D-Dog with a flash forward, not
Oh.
going to be able to find the flip, trying to get some more damage with the shotgun legs, but both flashes burned from the top laners there.
Really close. I didn't actually get to see if you did the proper E flash, but unfortunate. But they just traded summoners. That's probably alright for both top laners. And as I was mentioning earlier, I think the Silas is just be able to get levels for free. J4's biggest strength is the early game ganks, and he hasn't been able to make anything happen after that trade where he had to kind of back early. So I think this is going to be a really big win for White Lotus.
White Lotus doing a good job as Osprey looking to try to find some damage under turret onto D-Dog, but it's going to arrive a little bit late to the party. Now, Jason Jungle is here. This could be
Yes, I've ultimate.
first blood. In comes, actually,
There we go.
Honorable Onslaught will be able to get Osprey out to safety as the Abductor won't be able to get the CC through. TP from Ryanek, but he's going to have to back off now. He's already bought the Hex Drinker, though, so that's not the worst TP ever.
Yeah, he unfortunately probably could have denied Putney a little more, as we're gonna see more top lane action, but probably no kills happening. Yeah, the Hex Shrinker is actually a really smart item here. I noticed that we have Silas and Vladimir, so if basically Silas is coming to gank, it's gonna be all magic damage, and also you're gonna probably have to build Hex Shrinker later against a champion like Vladimir with so much burst, so this is probably gonna give Corky a lot of priority in the lane.
Jason Jungle comes for round 2. In comes the Fear Beyond Death. Will find its mark. Can he get the second pull? Yes, he can. And first blood will go over to D-Dog in this top lane.
Yeah, really smart, as we're gonna see a Mountain Drake, looks like, as an answer. Actually, that's probably gonna be okay for Grim Legion. Obviously, their Scion died, but it's a Scion. He's gonna be fine. He's gonna be a tank for the team, no matter how far behind it is. But this Mountain Drake is gonna be pretty big for them, especially when they have double carries. That's gonna be a lot of objective control, as we're gonna see a replay of the top gank. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that was really well played. Unfortunately missed the E, but good timing on the ultimate, a good slow, and just able to chase the Scion down.
Cleanly done from Jason Jungle and D-Dog. However, Hands of Blood wants something in the bot lane. The Flag and Drag won't quite find its mark. However, the Dark Binding will come through. There's the Zyra ultimate. However, the Ignite's ticking down over Hands of Blood. One more tick will do it. Hands of Blood surviving on no HP. Ace in the hole will get tanked by Ikaya. Good job from Ikaya to deny that, but Loki Dosi really low. In comes Jason Jungle. He steals the Zyra ultimate. Will actually get the knockup. In comes the Abduct. And Ikaya forced to flash out to safety. No further kills. It's still 1-0 in favor of White Lotus eSports.
And after all that, we have one summoner left, and that is the heal from Loki Dosi. That's gonna mean this bot lane might come around for more jungle ganks, more jungle pressure with flashes down, ultimates down. They're gonna be extremely vulnerable, so I'm gonna be looking to where the jungle paths and if they're gonna be coming for round 2 towards this bot lane.
We'll have to see whether Jason Jungle will turn his attention back to this bot lane again, but we've seen very Grim Legion-esque, a lot of close shades coming through that long mid play that we did see right at the start of the game. No kills there, and then again that bot lane trade where once again no kills coming through, but I think it just kind of highlights, you know, just how well both these bot laners that you mentioned in the drafting phase and in our pre-game chat, you know, just how good they are and how well they're able to actually calculate these plays.
Yeah, very, very well done for both of them. It's going to be quite interesting now how both of these lanes are going to position themselves. They're gonna probably, especially the Caitlyn Morgana, probably going to want to pressure the lanes, but it's going to be extremely dangerous. They don't really have good wards to see where J4 is going, so this J4 could very well be waiting towards bot lane, ready to kill them. So I'm waiting to see what is going to be the wave control. Is Caitlyn Morgana got to push, leaving themselves vulnerable, or are they going to let it freeze and wait till their sums are up?
Speaking of J4, Hands of Blood is in the top lane looking for the potential engage. Decimating Smash will come through, followed by Unstoppable Onslaught. Cataclysm comes through, D-Dog really, really low, trying to use the shotgun legs to his advantage. Won't be enough as Hands of Blood picks up the kill, and good stuff coming through. Now it looks like Jason Jungle might look for something in the bot lane. On the hunt gets popped, but Sleepy Bulbasaur is in the middle of White Lotus, and he'll get taken down by the Dark Binding as Phoenix Aura picking up the kill in the bot lane. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, we're getting a trade coming through. Rhynek trying to get some damage with the missile barrage. Won't be able to find enough. However, he might be looking to stun this. Not enough damage with the big one. And somehow to escape alive, but now it looks like the Rift Tower are gonna get started here by the side of a Grim Legion, and they're gonna be able to get this very important Rift Tower.
Yeah, trades back and forth, top side to bot side, getting kills, objectives. It's gonna be, and I think this is really poor from Grim Legion. You know your J4 just showed the top side. You know then that the first thing a jungler thinks is getting an advantage on the opposite side. The Sleepy getting caught too far forward, trying to get pressure, and dies to the gank. As we see, almost a kill towards mid lane. The Hex Shrinker is just making it extremely hard for the Vladimir, even with ultimate, to be able to kill him. So, nice trade from Rennick.
Putney has TP'd back into the mid lane. That means it's going to be down, while Ryanek will have his TP back up in a short bit. That can be really important in the skirmishes that we may be coming to see, especially with Rift Herald now available for Hands of Blood and Grim Legion. If that gets dropped in the bot lane, you could see Ryanek and even Osprey TPing in to follow, and all 5 members of Grim Legion in that bot lane.
Yeah, so flanks, obviously 4-mans, 5-mans, a really big potential now. Even if Vladimir walks over, it's going to be quite threatening, especially since Protobelt's done and Phoenix Totex is done. Actually, these CS leads across the board in the lanes are probably the biggest advantage the White Lotus has gotten, and that might be due to comfort on champions, depending on CS, and that might be impactful going into these potential team fights towards these next objectives, especially when the game is this close. The small advantage is going to be what matters, or what makes and breaks these team fights.
But we did talk about this in the drafting phase, that White Lotus, they need to get an advantage early game because they do fall off relative to Grim Legion. We talked about how this bot lane, you know, Loki Dosi and Phoenix Aura, we expect them to win. They've only got 1 kill over the Grim Legion bot lane, and they have a 5 CS advantage, which is practically nothing.
True, but they are 300 gold ahead, and that's just about a boots, probably like an attack speed, and especially if we're gonna carry a little bit this early, it might be impactful for the next fight. We're gonna have to see, more importantly, if Loki can get his first item before the Sivir can, if that 300 gold lead matters, because as I think Dragon is about to, his Dragon's actually up right now, so never mind that. The item is not going to come, and we're going to see this fight. These basically come down to this, but this right now.
Yeah, the sign very, very low. D-Dog has Flash and Fear Beyond Death available, but we're going to be seeing the fight coming through around Drake, as that's a lot of damage. Sleepy Bulbasaur gets taken down by Loki Dosi. Meanwhile, at the Drake is being secured by Jason Jungle. He steals the Cataclysm, will get taken down regardless, as Cookie looking to find some damage. He won't be able to find enough with the Missile Barrage. It's 3 kills for 2 in the favor of White Lotus, and they pick up the Drake. So great stuff coming in from them.
Yeah, the top lane TPs was a really big impact in the fights. As we could see, the Sion got extremely low. He had to wait to heal up, then TP, and by that point, they're already team fighting. As you can see, also, without Sion, the J4 went into the jungle, and the front line and back line are completely split up. Not what Grim Legion needs in these team fights. So, really well played by White Lotus, exploiting that and getting the team fight win and the dragon.
Yeah, and we saw that aggressive flash through from Rhynek as well, trying to find the damage onto Phoenix Aura to try to turn something around, as a Rift Herald will get spawned 15 minutes into the game. 3 members of Grim Legion are mid. They're looking to get some return gold in their favor. They'll be able to pick up the first turret of the game, and they'll bring the gold a little bit even, more even I should say, only 1k now, splitting it as White Lotus do have 5 kills to Grim Legion's 3.
Yeah, so I'm going to be curious now. White Lotus does have, even with a minute lead, a lead that they can use, especially since Caitlyn has just finished her first item. And once you finish this call, maybe 1.5 over the, probably just half an item over Sivir. So that could be an advantage that they could be looking to use, as we're going to see anything happen bot lane. No. I'm going to be curious more about how White Lotus is going to play it out, because they really do want it, like we said, push the tempo. And I think Caitlyn and Morgana are really good champions to do it with. So I'm going to be curious what their macro is going to look like going forward.
As it looks like Jason Jungle wants to get off a gank in this bot lane. Also, something I want to mention, we talked about Sleepy Bulbasaur going with this Dark Harvest. He's only got 3 stacks of that off in 16 minutes, which I feel is low.
Yeah, I think the bot lane ganks never really came from Hands of Blood, which basically made it an even lane. Obviously, we talked about the comfort, even with the losing lane from Loki and Phoenix playing this lane. I think that had a big impact towards Sleepy not being able to get a big advantage in the Dark Harvest stacks to kind of make it worthwhile. And we're gonna have to
rotating into the bot lane. In comes the package, and it does a little bit earlier as they're looking to get the poke onto D-Dog. The ultimate will come through, the flash away. Rhynek getting focused by the turret. What are you doing, Rhynek, as he gets executed? Sleepy Bulbasaur takes the turret, sure, he gets taken down. Can Ikaya find the kill against D-Dog? The shield comes through, and Ikaya gets taken down. What is Grim Legion doing?
That's a tilt. We're gonna see a top lane.
In the top lane, Jason Jungle getting focused down by Osprey. Hands of Blood coming in with a flag and drag. Hands of Blood will end up tanking the ace in the hole. As the Ignite is ticking down on Osprey, he's going to be able to survive. Hands of Blood will be able to find the kill onto Jason Jungle. Flashes away, Loki does. He can't quite find the pick with a Piltover Peacemaker. And at least Grim Legion are able to find a kill, 1 kill trade in that top lane.
Yeah, I am not sure. That's a big tilter, especially
Do we want to see a replay of this?
That was really bad. Unfortunately, I thought the play was correct. They should just 3-man towards bot, trade this tower, especially since they're the team that doesn't really want to have to deal with a siege and engage.
Did Rhynek just not realize that he's taking aggro, and then Sleepy Bulbasaur ends up like taking the brunt of those, you know, the turret damage stacking onto him, and he just gets 2-shot by a turret from full HP?
Yeah, it might just be nerves, being maybe the first playoff series that, they're maybe a little bit nervous, but that was really strange, and that was a humongous mistake. Now White Lotus has a humongous advantage, being able to get a 4-kill Urgot. Might be uncontestable in the side lane now, and that is not what you want. A side lane threat, especially with a comp that needs to team fight.
And we already know how much damage an Urgot can do with those shotgun legs. A 4-in-1 Urgot is going to do even more damage, especially with that Black Cleaver that will just shred through armor.
Yeah, so it's gonna be really interesting. I don't. Does Grim Legion really want to contest this? I think they're really gonna lose the fight. They have TP on Vladimir and really good positioning. I think it's gonna be a hard fight.
And speaking of Vladimir, he's just split pushing in the top lane. Piltover Peacemaker will come through, not quite enough to steal the Drake. In comes a fight though. The CC coming through onto Jason Jungle. TP in now for Putney. This might actually be a bit of a death sentence as Fear Beyond Death will come through, will find the pick onto Hands of Blood. It's a 1-for-1 trade around this Drake. And that will be all she wrote, but the Ocean Drake was secured by Grim Legion.
Yeah, that was really weird, actually, because the White Lotus was not contesting that. They should have just had Punny continue to split push, but I guess they just kind of split calls. I thought that TP could have been fine if they just had it earlier, and I thought they would 100% win the fight, especially with how Urgot is positioned, the Vladimir's position to threaten this backline. It would have been hard for them to kind of commit towards the Caitlyn Morgana. And unfortunately, Jason Jungle was just caught too far out.
I mean, at this point, you know, White Lotus, they clearly have an advantage. A 2.5k goal lead, 3 kills. They're a Mountain Drake behind, but the kind of solace that I'm looking at in favor of Grim Legion eSports anyway, is the fact that they do have a lot of wave play. They have a lot of ways to kind of stall out this game to, as you mentioned, the point where they will start to outscale White Lotus.
Yeah, and I think that's actually a really good point. That's gonna be a big advantage, especially towards getting kind of relieving the pressure as we're gonna see.
Phoenix are in a bit of a sticky situation, but the collab's gonna come through from White Lotus. TP as well, just to ensure that no further continuation can come through from Grim Legion. Rhino gets some poke with the big one. Gets hit by a Dark Binding Ace, and the hole will come through as well. But it's not going to be enough damage. Just 1 kill going over to White Lotus. And with Hands of Blood down, the Baron is going to be the call now for White Lotus. And do Grim Legion have any way of contesting this?
They actually can, I think. This Baron's going to take a while. They don't have a mountain. Their comp doesn't really have that much amount of magic damage, percent magic damage to kind of kill this Baron. So yeah, they're going to completely go off of it. Their comp isn't really built to kind of take this 20-minute dragon. They're built more to kind of pressure the towers. So I'm going to see probably no advantage come from that kill.
However, this kind of almost half-decided Baron call, I mean, it's allowed Osprey just to split push in the top lane. He was bot lane the entire time. He's got that wave pushing.
Yeah.
He's crushing under the bot turret. And Ryanek going to be able to steal the red buff as well.
Yeah, that's actually really in favor now of Grim Legion. First, they wasted a bit of time onto the Baron. Now they had to reset, try to buy their items to kind of be strong for the next fight. I still think White Lotus, the pace is slowing. I really wish I would see them more set up on a siege, even with their wave clear. I think Caitlyn hitting towers a few so often could go a really long way towards getting objectives, but we're kind of just seeing trades of objectives as now we're going to see a lot of members committed from Grim Legion towards topside.
Yeah, the final outer turret for White Lotus is still standing. And Grim Legion would like to take it down. Pings are coming through, and you just got Osprey just pushing in this mid lane, and as Lokidosi makes his way up top, it's just going to give Osprey more free reign just to push in this way, because he's going to be uncontested in a minute.
Yeah, I kind of wish they don't actually rotate over. Even if you lose top tower, if you 4-man push mid lane without Sivir and Corki, that's probably a free tier 2 tower. They're really respecting and trying to answer the initiative taken from Grim Legion. I think that's really favoring them. The slower this game goes down, the more farm Corki's getting, the more farm Sivir's going. And Caitlyn, even though she has 2 items, this is kind of her drop-off point now. And now it's going to be harder and harder, basically, to try to get advantages as time goes on.
Both ADCs have both of their BF stored items. The Essence Reaver and Infinity Edge have been completed. And now will be the start of the ZL items, and most likely going to be a Phantom Dancer for Ikaya, and probably a Rapid Fire Cannon for Lokidosi.
Yeah, 2 really big items. Caitlyn with 3 items is probably going to be just as impactful for now against the Sivir. The Vladimir, more importantly, has finished Death Cap, and so currently, if that Vladimir gets on top of Sivir or Zyra, they're probably going to explode. They are not very tanky against, so they're going to have to be really careful in these team fights, especially the front line. They cannot leave this back line basically in the dust, or they're probably just going to die to the Vladimir. You're going to see you're going to trade for potentially Baron.
Grim Legion, they burn on the hunt. They want to do this Baron quickly. White Lotus are making their way over to try to contest. Ryanek just trying to get some position as a D-Dog is on his way, but he's quite far away as Ikaya taking it down a lot of damage. The Baron currently on 5,000 HP. Ryanek looking to get some poke. In comes the double cataclysm. Jason Jungle gets taken down. That's a great snipe with a fear beyond death as Ikaya, as D-Dog is unstoppable. It's 2 kills for 1, and a White Lotus, they'll stop the Baron, but crucially Grim Legion sorting this game out again.
That was really confusing from Grim Legion. The front line completely committed to the Baron while the backline was basically left in the dust. Again, like we talked about, against the Vladimir. What's Zyra and Silver supposed to do? The Vladimir is going to walk up for free. The Jarvan needs to help protect the Vladimir. They got to turn. They got to look for something. They can't leave the Vlad. And even the Corki all the way on the opposite side of the wall, not providing any damage. So, and the front line just stuck at Baron. That was just really confusing all around team fight
Drake
setup.
has been sorted as Hands of Blood tries to get the steal, not going to be able to, and he's just going to get absolutely wiped down. Ace in the hole, finding the pick onto Sleepy Bulbasaur as well, is 2 kills for nothing. White Lotus, after the Baron fight, they take a turret, they find another 2 kills, they get the Ocean Drake, and now they're going to be looking for the Baron.
Yeah, Grim Legion's playing so split up. I really didn't think anything was going to happen to the Dragon, but they actually went for the steal, and now Baron's basically gone. They're just so split up. They need
Ryanek getting poked down. He's taking down a lot of damage. Fear Beyond Death not going to find his mark. One more shotgun legs might be able to do it on the hunt, gets burned. They're trying to turn this on D-Dog. They're surely going to be able to find the kill. No, they can't. Ryanek's so low. Meanwhile, the Baron's getting taken down by 3 members of White Lotus. I don't think there's anything they can do. Then D-Dog escapes with a sliver of HP.
Oh my god, the Corki almost went down to the Urgot passive, but luckily he survived. White Lotus, though, is going to get a Baron with a Siege comp that is going to be quite deadly and probably going to at least mean 1 inhib, maybe 2, unless Grim Legion is able to force a front-to-back team fight. That's what really Grim Legion needs to be looking for that I haven't seen from them. These front-to-back or the front line make sure that they are in front of the Corking Silver, being able to provide that damage, playing the double carries. They have double carries. They just need to make sure that they are safe enough to provide the damage.
And we'll have to wait and see, as only the inhibitor turrets, with the exception of 1 inner turret on the bot lane standing for Grim Legion. White Lotus still have all of their inner turrets up. And with the Baron buff up now, it's all going to come down to this wave clear that we talked about for the side of Grim Legion.
Yeah, so as we're going to see them basically push up towards mid lane. They're gonna 1-3-1. They can answer obviously with the double TP if they get engaged on, which is quite perfect because it's probably going to zone off the back line and now they're going to be able to pressure all 3 lanes with Baron. And Grim Legion really should have made a play right as they were set up, but now they've kind of waited.
Here comes the unstoppable onslaught, but Osprey's not quite going to be able to find the mark. Sleepy Bulbasaur taking the brunt of damage. He can't actually get back through. There are Yordle snap traps in the way, and he gets taken down as the D-Dog, finding the Fear Beyond Death, will be able to find the pick Valkyrie, essential for Ryanek to get out of the zone of the taunt, as the Kaya gets blown apart. Another ace in the hole gonna come through as Putney finding the kill onto Ryanek, and White Lotus crashing into the base. They found 4 kills for nothing. That's 1 inhibitor down. They're gonna look for the game. The Baron empowered minions are crashing in on the Nexus. Nexus turret 1 down. Nexus turret number 2 down. And White Lotus, 28 minutes in, take a clean victory against Grim Legion.
Yeah, well done by White Lotus. I think they really did well punishing the mistakes that Grim Legion made during the series. I think it really came down to White Lotus getting the team fights that they really wanted. They wanted the Vladimir and Urgot to be able to zone off backline or kill the backline, while Caitlyn Morgana are basically safe to kind of provide damage. And I just think maybe it's due to comfort, but I think Grim Legion need to rethink the roles they have to play in these team fights, and potentially the Zyra pick as well. I think that's a little questionable if they want to build a comp like this.
Yeah, the Zyra pick didn't go the best for them. And that's potentially going to be one thing that Grim Legion will look to change, as we're going to be heading into a short break, but we'll be right back. So don't go anywhere as we make our way to Game 2 between White Lotus eSports and Grim Legion eSports. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Game 2 of the quarterfinals of ABL Season 7 as White Lotus eSports taking on Grim Legion. White Lotus took Game 1 in a fairly comfortable style, and as we make our way into picks and bans for Game 2, not enough, what can we really expect to see here?
Obviously, well, first, I think mentality-wise, they should be okay. Grim Legion played it they played early game really well. They just did mix execute it. So I don't think they're gonna change too much, except forget about that bot lane play. That bot lane play really costed them, and it was kind of troll. Just forget about it, move on. And I think the draft was okay. Maybe just change that support pick in the Zyra for something a little more aggressive, or maybe something more peel like a Tomcat, Jayumi, something along those lines.
Well, this time Grim Legion going to be banning the Yumi away from White Lotus. It's White
Interesting.
Lotus banning the Morgana this time. So I guess they want to play some engage support. And maybe see a Nautilus coming in.
I don't think I've ever seen White Lotus play one game of Yumi, so I think that's most likely a wasted ban, unless Phoenix has changed some games. I'm pretty sure he just hates the champion. We're gonna see Jason Morgana this time. So White Lotus do not want Morgana first picked, and they're predicting Grim Legion is going to take that away. Okay,
Grim Legion banning the Braum away as well, which, you know, every time I see a Braum ban, it's usually...
Ooh.
Very early as the Nautilus getting picked up here by Grim Legion as
yeah,
the first
so we talked about obviously the more aggressive support pick. I think Nautilus kind of fits there, being able to provide and engage, especially when Morgana's down. I think that's a perfect pick. As we're gonna see Sejuani, most likely then we're gonna see Grim Legion be able to take up that Trundle to counter. And Silas.
Ooh.
Interesting. So this is gonna be a solo lane Silas now.
Unless maybe White Lotus do the unthinkable and put Sejuani in a solo, but I doubt it.
I doubt if they pick Trundle top lane, that's just kind of a disaster waiting to happen. Most likely it's going to be a jungle. Silas is still a very strong solo lane in both lanes. It's going to be hard to counter, as we talked about, the Trundle counter pick. I really like where Grim Legion's going. They have a reliable engage as well as a big slow. Now they just really need long range carries to kind of be able to front and back this. I think Corki would be perfect right here, actually.
Well, the Corki is a Ryanex specialty, and Grim Legion do have it available to them, and they will pick it up. White Lotus will wait to see what they take for their final pick of the first phase. There's still a lot of stuff available.
Probably a support to probably deal with Nautilus. Maybe
Karma's open.
Karma is open. Oh, we're gonna just see Ezreal. Something safe. They do have pretty strong 2v2 power already with the Silas and Sejuani together. They're most likely going to be playing through topside no matter what. So I think Ezreal picking that is probably perfect, because if they don't want to play from bot lane, then Ezreal can just farm up, get some Klepto procs, and be ready to contribute toward team fights.
The got respect band coming in, and just also want to point out that for the side of White Lotus, the Camille is open to pair up with that Sejuani.
Yeah, there's a lot actually. Aurelia's open, Renekton, oh well, that's banned. Aatrox is open, so there's a lot of melees still open. Even the support pick, right? We can have TK, we can have actually the tick Nautilus. Is there anything else up besides TK? Trying to think. Well, Alistar, yeah. Volibear, maybe with a Volibear. Have we seen Volibear here?
Volibear? What, as in... Wait, hang on. I was kind of thinking about support, and then I heard Volibear. Is this Volibear...
Support? You've never seen Volibear support?
No, I haven't.
Been picked a lot in LCK with Callista. Callista Volibear is
oh, wow, that's hilarious. That's brilliant.
Yeah. Quite a potent lane. More potent than people realize. We're going to see Shen.
And Tristana. And Tristana is something that we've been kind of talking about, and you've been mentioning that Grim Legion should pick up. And
yeah,
that could be a solo lane Trist, or it could be a Kaya on that Tristana.
I think it's going to be a Kaya. I think Tristana does really well into Ezreal, just being able to push the lane. Ezreal's not really going to be able to contest in the wave class. We're going to see Nunu. Wow, triple tanks now. Nautilus, Nunu, and Trundle. And we have two long-range carries with Corki and Tristana. Does White Lotus have enough to get on top of this Tristana? I really felt they needed something more aggressive than Shen, like Akali and Aurelia. These carries are really strong, and I'm not sure they're gonna... Oh, it's Shen support. I like Camille then.
questions, but when we talked, I did mention, the Camille is open. We could see that coming through in the top lane. And correct me if I'm wrong, Ryanek, but wasn't Camille support a thing fairly recently?
Sorta, but I think Camille does really well on the Trundle, being able to zone off with W. I'm most likely gonna see a Camille top. So we're gonna kind of see, again, Grim Legion playing their standard, what they've been successful with in these last two series. This this time triple frontline with two really strong carries. If they're able to get an early advantage, they're going to be able to set up on objectives, force team fights. Really well rounded when they are grouped up. In terms of White Lotus, though, this time they have a 1-3-1. Camille, Sejuani, Silas, really strong 2v2s and 3v3s, and skirmishing power, being able to create picks, escape initiations, basically pressuring 3 lanes as possible and making sure that they avoid the 5v5s as much as possible. So it's going to be a clash of kind of opposite styles, split push versus team fights. And I'm going to be curious because this time I think both teams have the comps that they want. And I'm going to be basically who's going to be executing it better.
And I'm still kind of interested to see where everyone's going in White Lotus. I know we have a good idea, but I feel like White Lotus may still have one final ace up the sleeve. But it does look like it will be what we expected with the Camille going top and the Sejuani in the jungle role. All that's left now is to make sure that Silas is going to be a good boy and will go into that mid lane.
Yeah. So in terms of early game, obviously we're going to see Jason Jungle focus top side. They have Silas, they have Camille. Especially if they get the Camille ahead, he can be looking towards mid lane dives, bot lane dives with the Sejuani. It's going to be really potent, and I think if the Camille gets fed, I think it's game over from Formulation. However, with Nunu, they now have okay gank pressure towards bot lane. I don't think Shen is safe, but I don't know if he's all that safe. I've not seen it enough probably to say if it's good enough to survive Nunu ganks, but with Tristana, any gank that happens is probably going to lead to a turret plating or two. And if we see bot lane even untouched, I think Grim Legion's just going to be able to pressure out the lane. So it's kind of how much advantage can you get topside from White Lotus, in which you can transition over, versus how much of an advantage you can get towards bot lane and maybe mid lane in some scenarios for Grim Legion.
Also going to give a few shout-outs, a massive thank you to the following for following ABL on Twitch, Emperor, Moody Gaming, IGN, Your Nurse, and Shaden. But going back to this game, you mentioned you have to be careful of those ganks in the bot lane because Ikai is going to deal so much turret damage, and that's just the power of Tristana right now. She just takes turret plates so quickly.
Yeah, usually also she has kill pressure, especially with Nautilus. That after one combo, the Tristana W is in, is able to get a lot of damage. So while Lotus have to play careful, they do have really safe champions. Shen with the blocking of autos. I'm not sure what that ability is called, but Ezreal obviously one of the safest AD carries. I think they do have the perfect champions to kind of play the style. So I'm gonna be curious how this goes. I really like both teams' comps, and I think we're gonna be in for a treat.
Yeah, as we do enter the spectator delay, so we can get confirmation now of all of the summoner spells, and it's going to be TPs for both top and mid laners, but Ikai taking that here, whereas Loki Dosi on that Ezreal going for the more standard TP. However, Phoenix are actually going to go for the heal here.
Basically, they're saying they're gonna sack the lane, so I'm not expecting, unless Camille or Silas roams down, I'm not expecting to see any action towards the bot lane. Probably no kills for White Lotus is gonna be happening there, which is going to telegraph, obviously, that they're gonna focus topside. So I wonder if maybe Grim Legion is prepared for that. Obviously, Nunu is not a bad champion to kind of deal with Sejuani, and Nunu is extremely tanky with a ton of health. So even with Camille, Sedge, or Sejuani Silas, if the Nunu is able to tank up all that damage, it's probably going to be okay. The bigger issue would be if they are able to get a 2u1. I think both the solo laners could be dead. We're actually not going to see even cleanse from Corki, so I think it's actually quite a vulnerable lane for Corki after 6. If Sejuani just be able to get the ult, the Silas just going to be able to get that burst damage and probably be able to kill him. So I think I'm going to be interested what Hands of Blood really wants to do. Does he think ganking a tough bot lane is going to be worth it, or does he think it's going to be more worth playing safe, protecting the vulnerable lanes, and then relying on your carries to carry the game in an even match?
As I do quite like the fact that Grim Legion have gone something to, what they're comfortable with, something that, won them their last few games, going with that Trundle top, the Nunu in the jungle, Ryanek on the Corki, and Ikaya on that Tristana. I feel like all of these, they're going back to their comfort picks, if you like, and if they want any way of getting back into this game, I feel like this is probably their best chance.
Yeah, they have all the champions that they've kind of played and won with over this 3 series winning streak for them. So yeah, I think this is probably, yeah, I agree. This is probably their best chance to kind of win. I think they've played these champions plenty. I think I think they know their roles a little bit better this game with these champions as well. I think they have a lot of options of where they want to go. I think I will say, yeah, I think Grim Legion has more options of where they want to go. Obviously, they're really good at team fighting, but they have ways to answer split push if it gets really bad. Corky package, obviously Nautilus engage. So just a little more flexibility, but White Lotus still has a winning comp.
Well, we have a lot to look forward to in Game 2. Shen in the support role and Ikaya back on the Tristana. We're going to go into a short break and we'll be right back with Game 2 between White Lotus eSports and Grim Legion. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Game 2 of this best of 5 between Grim Legion eSports and White Lotus. White Lotus on the red side, Grim Legion on the blue side. And Ryanek, what can we look to see here?
We're gonna now see a 5-man invade from Grim Legion. I think that's actually really potent for them. Obviously, with Nautilus, potentially Trundle Pillar. They don't have that much damage to follow up, and they are ganking a Camille, so I'm gonna be quite interested to see how it goes.
Here we go. Sleepy Bulbasaur will make his way forward. D-Dog will use a hookshot and dash over the wall, and Sleepy Bulbasaur taking a bit of time. He could have just got the auto off instantly onto D-Dog there.
Yeah, flash auto to maybe even block the E, which would have forced Camille flash, and I think that could have been well worth it, especially with no flash on Camille. That's a little bit less of a gank potential, obviously, with the Sejuani. It's gonna be quite interesting as we're gonna see. Oh, a good ward by White Lotus, and we're going to see a red side start. Um,
as we make our way into the laning phase, Rhinek gonna get down a little bit of a poke onto Putney, and we'll back off now as both junglers starting on their bot side as we now hit the 2-minute mark in the game.
so Sejuani, no.
Phoenix already getting hit there by a Dredge and will be able to escape. Putney gonna go in, gets off a lot of damage onto Rhinek, but Rhinek now with his cooldown set up will get down a little bit of return poke in this trade.
Yeah, and I did want to go a little bit into the jungle. Obviously, Sejuani going for a bot to top side. He wants to play through top side with Sejuani with these double melees. No surprise there. With the Nunu, it looks like he's going to be kind of matching. He's going to take a more efficient path than the Sejuani, be able to kill Krugs and chickens earlier. And might look like he's just going to make sure that his mid and top side are going to be safe from the Sejuani ganks.
As in comes actually the biggest ever snowball into the mid lane. Can they find the mark onto Putney? He has the abscond available and will be able to dash out to safety. Also, this does remind me, if you haven't already, do hit us up on Twitch with a follow. You do get points for doing so, and whoever has the most points at the end of the season will get $10 on their PayPal, as we're going to see a Sweeping Blade coming through in the top lane. Gets down a little bit of poke onto Osprey, but that's just going to be about it.
Oh, I think the Nunu's gonna get caught. He's now gonna have to potentially contest for top scuttle against Camille Sedge or even the jungle. Uh-oh.
Oh, in comes Hookshot, will find the CC. Further CC coming in from the Sejuani. Sweeping Blade will come through, and D-Dog, sorry, not D-Dog, Jason Jungle getting the first blood.
Yeah, I really have to question. I feel like the Nunu was just in river for a little bit and didn't take his blue buff immediately and just immediately got roamed down by the Camille. He should have expected it. Camille was basically back for not in lane for no reason, and really well done by White Lotus punishing that mistake.
They find the pick onto Hands of Blood, using the Nunu's weakness as Osprey's gonna get down a bit of poke. Has to be careful now because in comes a hookshot. D-Dog looking to get off some damage. However, Rhinek in this mid lane trying to find some return damage onto Putney, who's low on mana, but Jason Jungle is there just to give his mid lane a bit of breathing room.
Yeah, just gonna be able to take some time. Really, Grim Legions are gonna have to try to survive now. This early game, I think Hands of Blood.
Jason Jungle, where are you going? He's got the Arctic Assault to get over into the Drake pit. In comes the jump. Jason Jungle gets absolutely deleted, and I'm not quite sure why didn't Arctic Assault into the Drake pit. I'm pretty sure it was available.
Well, if it wasn't available, I'm not sure why he's waiting. If it's taken that long for it to come up, he probably could have been okay if he just slowed the Nunu without flash and just walked out. But fortunately, getting caught. And I was about to say that Nunu's probably gonna have to play away from top with Sejuani and Camille getting an advantage. But now with this kill, I might just be back onto the cards, being able to just protect this top lane when they can.
Well, Hands of Blood finds his revenge onto Jason Jungle. And as we mentioned in Picks and Bans, Jason Jungle focusing on that top side. That's where he found the pick onto Hands of Blood, using D-Dog to his aid.
Oh no, the Tristana with that one kill, BF sword, and attack speed. I'm not sure if Loki Dosi is tilted right now, but that is a big disadvantage now for the bot lane. And that probably just means if Sejuani's not able to come, that's just gonna be really.
That's not all Nalina. Double buffs on the Tristana as well.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, BS sword's not enough, is it?
Yeah, this is worse than I expected. This Tristana's gonna probably be really strong. She's gonna be able to I don't think they can really mess this up. I don't think they have kill pressure at all.
In comes biggest ever snowball in the mid lane. Will find it. CC Rhynek Isaac will be firing off that missile barrage to find some damage. Putney gonna heal a little bit with the abduct. Putney gets taken down low. They'll be able to find the kill before Rhynek force Rhynek really low. He's gonna try to get some poke now onto Jason Jungle. Will have to back off though. However, Phoenix Aura is on his way. Has the flash, followed by the dash. In he goes, he gets the taunt. Jason Jungle now gonna get taken down. In comes the Dredge Light. Hands of Blood finds the pit. He's gonna be able to heal a lot as well with that jump. Phoenix Aura is gonna be able to escape though. What is that overall? It's gonna be 1 kill for 2 in favor of Grim Legion, who now take the total kills to 3-2.
Yeah, this is probably worst case scenario for White Lotus. They didn't really get the kill onto Camille, and now the 2 carries are basically really strong for Grim Legion, as we're going to see a replay here. I think Putney just flashed a little too early. He didn't wait for the Nunu E to kind of barely run out, as we're nice roam from Phoenix, but answered right away from Sleepy, being able to kill the Nunu and getting a big heal. Sorry, being able to kill the Sejuani and the Nunu being able to get a big heal to survive.
Yeah, the jump coming in pretty big for Hands of Blood. First wreck of the game as well is going to be an Ocean Drake, which won't be the highest priority, but will still be something that both teams will be looking to secure, as we're going to be getting Rift Herald as well in just over 2 minutes. As Crucial Barrage comes through. Loki Dosi low on mana. He's going to have to be careful. Sleepy Bulbasaur playing aggressive will land the Dredge Light. In comes a Rocket Jump. A lot of damage as Ikaya burns the heal. Will be able to survive. Flashes after getting the Triumph Frog. He did find the kill onto Loki Dosi as well, as that's a good pick in the bot lane. As in comes the Hextech Ultimatum. Jason Jungle follows straight up with the Glacial Fissure, as Osprey burns his own ultimate to get those tanky stats. Thank you very much, Sejuani, he says, and he'll be able to back off to safety.
And that was with Aftershock proc, I'm pretty sure. So that was a really taking Chundo, and that is actually really big, because now Grim Legion is able to trade Dragon and bot lane turret platings for just platings on top lane and no kill on the Camille. This Camille's not going to be able to snowball and probably be able to have a big enough advantage to deal with this Tristana and Corki pressure. So as long as Grim Legion is able to pressure with their carries.
In comes the biggest ever snowball once again. The Ebscon is available and will be just enough to avoid the snowball. Putney able to escape once again.
Yeah, now we have an Ocean Dragon. It's just going to make this lane much worse, as this Ezreal poke is basically not going to be able to stick as much. And so, really bad start for White Lotus. And I do think, especially towards later in the stages, I don't think their scaling is very, very good as well. They're really reliant on Camille getting ahead. And so, eventually, with this team fight, I think they're just going to be able to force objectives and make this Camille's push negligible.
Yeah, only a 5 CS advantage for D-Dog in that top lane. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, the BF scored Berserker Greaves and the Cloak of Agility on Ikaya versus that Sheen and Tyr.
Yeah, this is what we talked about, right? Kind of the comfort of the Tristana, the Nunu, and I think Grim Legion's performing a lot better. And like we said, basically in the pregame, when they have these champions, their early game is so much better, even though they have a team fight comp. So I think they're playing this game out really well. So I'm going to be curious how they're going to be looking to play it out in the future.
Grim Legion playing to their comfort pick, and they're playing it well with almost a 1k goal lead, as Hookshot will come through from D-Dog. However, Osprey just looking to turn it a little bit. Has to be careful though, because Jason Jungle is nearby and he has no vision on him at all. As you mentioned, the 4-man gank coming through on bot. Loki Dosi and Phoenix Aura will just back off. However, Osprey and D-Dog are fighting the tactical sweep coming through. D-Dog getting slapped up. Glacial Prison though. Jason Jungle turns it around, and the stand unite just in case that wasn't enough. A good pick coming through, but Grim Legion with that rotation to the bot lane, they pick up the first turret of the game, which will kind of negate this Rift Herald that's getting taken at the minute from the side of White Lotus. And Grim Legion aren't stopping. They're going to keep on going in this bot lane as well.
unfortunately, they just cannot get kills on the Kunosh. He is going to get platings, which is pretty big. Because now, with this pressure, they're gonna finally be able to get that kind of sizable advantage that the Camille needs to split push. So they do have this win condition kind of up, and it's probably a little bit questionable by the Trundle taking the fight, even though he was confident he would win the
Putney might be getting caught out here because the bot lane from Grim Legion is on the way. In comes the depth charge. You can't abscond away from that. Reinek Valkyrie's safety, and Ikaya on a killing spree on this Tristana. Let's get some more turret plates, Grim Legion say. Is there anything Phoenix Aura can do? He'll dash in, will get the Torn Hands of Blood, taking a lot of damage, will flash away. But so will Phoenix Aura. This is going to be even more turret plates going over to the side of Grim Legion. In comes True Shot. Barrage is going to get a lot of damage. Not quite enough. Meanwhile, Shelly pushing into that top lane. The first turret for White Lotus has been taken. However, Osprey will be able to take down Shelly, and Grim Legion, a job well done, I feel, for them.
Yeah, really well done getting that kill. I think Putney expected bot lane to just back after getting the advantage, but they were smart. They stayed, and they saw the Silas out of position, and well done getting onto the kill. Now, they're probably going to be ready to set up on towards the dragon, get as many objectives as possible, and snowball this as a 5-man group.
Indeed, they will be able to look for that, as we're almost 30 minutes into the game, and it's an Infinity Edge Tier 2 boot for Ikaya's Tristana. That seems a little bit big, and also the Triforce as well for Ryanek.
Yeah, big items completed here, and they're going to be even scarier as the game goes along, so... Especially this next dragon, it's gonna be quite hard with these carries having these items advantages. I'm not sure they're gonna be able to kind of win.
Putney not quite able to find the abduct on to Ryanek. Osprey is topside on the Trundle, and
no
he
TP.
will have TP up. Yeah, TP's up in about 20 seconds for him, so he might just turn up too late. However, Grim Legion, they're just going to turn their focus onto this turret. They say, you can take Drake, we're going to get more turret platings, and we're going to get a second outer turret. And they force White Lotus off Drake.
Yeah, but I think Trundle not having TP is actually gonna kind of put them on the back foot. They did get a good plating, that's alright, but they are probably gonna lose this dragon. Probably not something they want. As a comp like this, they really want the objective control to kind of snowball it, because it's gonna be hard for them to kind of rely on a Goldie. As we're gonna see it maybe engage? No.
Oh, Dredge Line just missing its mark onto Putney. However, in the top lane, Osprey picked up 2 turret platings before the turret plates dropped, and he's actually just going to take the turret, so maybe not having that TP available was a good thing for Grim Legion.
Being able to get, I talked about not getting as big an advantage, but I guess if you're not grouped and they take basically forever to get the dragon, they're going to be able to trade out for the top tower, so that's pretty big. Getting gold onto the Trundle to kind of neutralize more of this Camille, and now a free mid tower. This is going really well for Grim Legion, and they have a, even though it's not as big of a Goldie, it's only 3k, I think it's really bigger than it really seems with the comps that they have right now.
3k gold lead, as you mentioned, Ryanek, in favor of Grim Legion. Speaking of threes, they picked up 3 outer turrets as well, and while they maybe is one Drake apiece, Cloud Drake going over to the side of White Lotus, Ocean Drake on the side of Grim Legion. Next Drake, though, is going to be a second Ocean Drake, and if Grim Legion can get that, that's going to be really good, because they have the gold advantage.
Yeah, and that probably just makes the siege relentless. The Ezreal, they have a real big struggle of safe wave clear. They have Ezreal who can hit 1 minion at a time, Silas who can Q some other times, but it's going to be doing 40% reduced damage on the Q. It's going to be quite hard. I'm going to be curious if they're going to go onto this court key with
Putney
package
looking
down.
for the fight onto Ryanek. However, Jason Jungle is here. The package to safety. TP's going to come in. Ryanek surviving for a while. Oh, the Pillar of Ice separates Ryanek from Jason Jungle, and it's going to be 2 kills going over to Grim Legion. Hookshot
Yeah,
coming in though in the mid lane onto Sleepy Bulbasaur as the Hextech Ultimatum is available, but the bomb will do a little bit of damage. D-Dog taken down to just over half HP as Grim Legion, they're just going to push in the bot lane. They're going to get the inner turret there. They can push in this mid lane as well and look for yet another turret as well.
Alright, Might Lotus is extremely far behind now. They have no pressure. Ezreal is not even on his core item spikes. They have really like almost no way to kind of win these fights. Camille, she really needs to kill the Tristana, but they have Tristana ult to deal with it. They have these 3 beefy frontline even so to kind of CC them and kind of block them down even if they try to go. So I feel like I don't want to say it's over, but it's going to take a really big Grim Legion mistake now in terms of macro to kind of throw this away. They have an extremely strong 5-man comp. Camille's not even close to where she wants to be to kind of split push and put the side lane pressure. So, and I think even Corki right now just beats the Sylas, as we saw with that much damage in the side lane. So it's kind of hard for me to see where White Lotus is going to try to get their advantage.
Yeah, and Rhynek not too far from the Infinity Edge either. However, Sleepy Bulbasaur misstepping slightly will flash out to safety as well. Better safe than sorry, and he'll be able to survive. As Rhynek in the top lane as well, just pushing the way forward. Baron is only going to be up in 2 minutes, so Grim Legion have a lot of time to set up for that, as we're going to see Osprey in the bot lane split pushing.
That's actually kind of funny because we talked about White Lotus wanting the split push, but Grim Legion right now has a big enough advantage that basically they're just going to be able to kind of play what White Lotus wants to do. The Trundle has Iceborne, Gotland, and Vamp Scepter, looking potentially towards a Ravenous Hydra. Little bit questionable. I think later in the game, Camille is going to be able to do a lot of damage through her ult, and with executioners that might be questionable to kind of not take the health from Titanic, but it's probably alright for now. They're really far ahead, and so they can try to build items to kind of end the game as early as possible.
Iceborne Gauntlet just being picked up by Loki Dosi. That's going to be pretty important going into Ikaya and Rhynek. Speaking of Ikaya, he's just got his rapid fire cannon, and he's going to be pretty big now with the 50% crit rate, I believe.
Yeah, and really, Grim Legion, they really just have to wait. They're just waiting for objectives to come up. That's really where they're going to be strong. Try to force White Lotus from fighting. If they don't fight, they're just getting more advantages, and they're just having a quick split push with no contest. They're just waiting. They can take as much time as they really want. They can get big items on the Tristana. She's going to be clearing faster and farming faster than the Ezreal. Corki's just going to outscale the Sylas. So, yeah, it's just going to be... Really, White Lotus needs to try to look for a play. They're going to have to try to look for something creative, maybe like a 3-man with Zed Shen, or maybe like a missed position from Grim Legion that we kind of saw from last game. They're going to have to look for something to kind of break this. Because if they kind of just let this farm war go down, I think they're just going to outpace them, they're going to outfarm them, and it's going to be a really hard game then.
Indeed it will. A 7 kills to 3 in favor of Grim Legion. Almost a polar opposite to the previous game, as they have a 4.5k goal lead as well. And with those double oceans, the Baron has just spawned as well, so that could be something that Grim Legion look for. They can wait for these mounted drake that will spawn in about 4 minutes.
Yeah, they can obviously wait. I think most likely they're just waiting for Corki to finish. Oh, there we go. I was about to say finish the second item, the IE. That's going to be an extremely powerful power spike. We already saw Corki almost basically 5-shotting the Sylas. You could probably just 3-shot the Sylas now with no MR and 300 extra HP. He's going to be... The carries are basically extremely strong, both finishing 2 items. And they have Nunu, so they can tank up this Baron, as well as also a double ocean as well. So it's going to be hard. We're going to see... They're going to really need a mistake from Grim Legion, maybe trying to get onto the Tristan Corki. Just see if I'm in there.
There we go. They make their way over to Baron. The
Oh my
Tristana gonna
God.
deal so much damage so quickly. Baron already down to 5,000
Get the
HP.
steal.
D-Dog's still in the bot lane. The control ward gets put down. Pillar will come through to disrupt Jason Jungle. Jason Jungle comes in. He won't be able to steal the Baron. And the Nunu double smite going to be enough as Grim Legion make their way over to the mid lane to get a push off before they reset, as D-Dog is able to secure the outer turret in the bot lane. Won't back off it just yet, as Grim Legion still pushing forward. Crucial Barrage will come through to poke down that minion wave. But there's so much damage coming through. In it goes Phoenix Aura, the TP coming in, as that's Putney in the backline trying to get some damage, as the ultimate will come through from Sleepy Bulbasaur. Tristana will fall. D-Dog gets taken him down. There's a good flank coming in from D-Dog. However, this is Osprey's turn now, getting so much damage onto Phoenix Aura. Will surely be able to find the kill. That's a good flash away from Phoenix Aura, as Loki Dozy finds the pick. It's a triple kill over onto Ryanek though, and it's going to be 4 kills for 3 as Ryanek finds a quadra. He can't quite find the penta. Putney will survive. It's a 5 for 4, but Grim Legion are the ones taken down, and they lose the entire Baron buff.
They forgot to peel. I think the front line was just a little too far. I don't really think I think their first mistake was just like they went towards the tower, as you can see. Or we're gonna only see the end of it. We're actually gonna miss the Tristana death. I think that just Camille just was able to get to the back line, isolate him out, while basically the front line were CC'd out. I think Grim Legion really needs to. They don't need the front line to hit the tower. They don't need to just be walking up trying to hit the tower. They just need to be on top of the carries, make sure they don't get engaged, make sure nothing happens, as we almost see Ryanek kind of turn it around, make sure the case, and that's actually pretty huge because Baron is down now. No one has Baron.
I mean, okay, so we kind of talked about stalling out the game, and this is another. You stall out a little bit, but again, we talked about how Grim Legion in this game, they're going 3 tanks. We've seen them go 2 tanks before. This time they're going 3. But this is the advantage of having 2 essential, almost hyper carries. You know, if one gets taken down, you've got the other one that can, you know, completely clean up the fight.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, especially since they do have Trundle that kind of take away their tankiness. I think it was a little hard because of Shen and the kind of autos that he took away from the team fights, as we're gonna potentially see. No, we're gonna see it back off, get the objectives. I think Grim Legion, again with their comp, probably could just wait for the next Baron, get as many items as possible. The Corki just got a ton of kills and probably really close to that rapid fire cannon.
Spirit's Refuge is really, really big for Phoenix Aura's Shen, able to deny so many autism with Ryanek on that IE. As is Ikai, is going to be really important. The Mountain Drake is up. Hands of Blood just sitting in the bush for now. It will get started as Hands of Blood will begin the CC. In goes Phoenix Aura. Crucial Barrage comes in. That's a really good ult from Ikai to buy a little bit more time. The focus is on Jason Jungle right now. Hextech Ultimatum comes through. They find the kill onto Ikai once again. Valkyrie away. The Pogue's trying to come in. Ryanek gets taken down. Shutdown goal onto Putney. Hands of Blood has nowhere to go. The kill will come through. It's a double kill for Putney. 4 kills for 1. White Lotus with second fight in a row, and they will take the spoils of war, being the Mountain Drake.
Oh wow, what a great job from Putney and Dylan to just get on, or D-Dog, I'm sorry, to get on top of the carries, the most important carries, all their damage onto the Corki, as we're gonna see they engage onto the Sejuani and Shen, not really the targets, and again, the front line completely isolated away. They're too far back, and look at them, they're just autoing the Nunu. They have to be saving these Corki, they have to focus on saving this Tristana and Corki, and they're just kind of just letting them bite the dust, leaving them alone, and it's basically costing them in these fights. Well done from White Lotus Dives. Kind of being maybe overly negative about them, but the Camille and the Silas just working out, getting a really good flank, most important.
This is something that I'm somewhat confused by, because when we were in the drafting phase, we said, okay, there's 3 frontliners and 2 ADCs essentially for the side of Grim Legion. But one thing that I kind of silently disagreed with was the fact that I thought, okay, it might be 3 tanks, but surely Sleepy Bulbasaur is just going to sit on Ikaya. He's got no need to frontline, right? Surely he should just sit and peel for his ADC.
Yeah, I think they. I mean, unless they really need the engage, they can, especially when they have a lead like that, they just can just go onto the dragon, go onto the objective, and just wait for White Lotus to engage on the front line.
Oh, Glacial Prison coming through. True Shot Barrage will follow. Runix in a tricky situation. Abdug finds his mark. Putney's unstoppable. Hands of Blood and Sleepy Bulbasaur in a tricky situation.
No
Sleepy
damage.
Bulbasaur surely can't escape from this. As you mentioned, no damage at all.
Shut
And
down?
he's going to get
What?
absolutely deleted. Meanwhile, Ikaya able to find the pick, sorry, not Ikaya, it's Osprey finding the pick onto D-Dog. However, speaking of Ikaya, where can he go? Will get hit by the Abduct. Putney deletes, and it's 3 kills in this mid lane, as Osprey in the bot lane finding the solo kill, but it's not enough. Now Baron is up in 10 seconds. And White Lotus will turn their attention there.
It's a little risky. Corki is up now with TP. They still have TP on Trundle, 2 big front lines, and they don't have a Camille this time to flank. So I'm gonna be curious how the. Oh, actually, Camille is actually almost up. So most likely, probably then uncontestable. I don't see how. See with DQ.
TP coming in from Trundle, however, Hands of Blood will be the focus. White Lotus turn off
They lost
Baron.
Baron.
The Blast Cone used to safety. Jason Jungle trying to chase down Hands of Blood. This is what they have sacrificed the Baron for. But now, in comes the... Oh, as the Riot gets absolutely blown up. Hands of Blood has made his way in. He uses the Absolute Zero. How much damage can he get? Jason Jungle just about survives as True Shot Barrage finding the kill. Tactical Speed coming in. D-Dog looking to find some damage. He's in the middle of 3. He gets hit by the damage. Explosive Bomb will be able to find so much. Look at Ikaya. He's poking down Phoenix Aura. Phoenix Aura gonna find some safety with a Spirit's Refuge. Ikaya finds the second kill. It's a triple kill onto Osprey. Osprey trying to chase down Loki Dosi. Ikaya is here. Ikaya finds the shutdown as the Grim Legion gonna turn their attention now to the Baron, as somehow they come out on top and they turn the game back round into their favor.
Even though Rannick really trolled on that package, basically Akaya was untouched, and we talked about it. All these fights, they were able to get on both carries, killed the Tristana and Corki immediately. This time, they over-aggressed. They used all their cooldowns onto the front line, and the Tristana was free hitting, basically destroying them in the back. Finally, Grim Legion's able to get their most optimal fight, the front to back, and we're gonna see a replay here. The basic Camille's alone, no Sejuani, just hitting frontline. That's not what you need. You cannot be doing that, especially when Tristana's still up. And they should have known she was coming back up with 3 items. And he basically, the Trundle was almost unkillable. So hard to kill with Ezreal and Sejuani. And so Tristana just basically had all the room to carry. And now with Baron number 2, it's going to be extremely tough now. As long, basically, they just gotta sit. They have Locket, they have Knight's Vow. Just sit on your carries. Don't have the tanks out of the tower. Just let your carries do the work. Slowly and surely, you'll basically.
However, something I want to bring up though is this is the second Baron from Grim Legion, and my mind's being taken back to their first Baron where they lost the 5v5. They lost the ace for 4 kills, and I feel like we may see something similar again, but this time Grim Legion are going to play it safe. They're going to head straight over to this Mountain Drake and pick up their first Mountain Drake of the game, which will pair really nicely with these double oceans and their sieging.
I think this time though, Grim Legion has the defensive tools like the stopwatch, like the QSS now to be able to stop this engage. Oh, I didn't see. Okay, there's just a word to see the Camille. It's gonna be quite hard. They just need the Camille to find a way to get a flank without Tristana being able to ult immediately. That's quite tough. As we're actually just gonna see them being passive. Just looking to play it safe, go to the top lane. Especially, it's much easier to ward out. Especially if they have to push through mid lane, they have to ward out both sides for flanks, and probably going to miss a side.
Oh, True Shot Barrage steals the red buff. Hands of Blood had the smite available. Decided against it though, as Putney will be able to steal. get that. However, something I do want to bring up is that last fight. I mean, the difference was it wasn't a full 5v5. It was a much more broken up 5v5. And Sleepy Bulbasaur was with Ikaya. He wasn't trying to set up the fight.
Yeah, and that was just the perfect position that they need. As we're gonna see a setup here. Oh, the
Jason
the
Jungle's
backline's
gonna get
separated.
hit by the biggest ever snowball. In goes Hands of Blood. He's in the middle of everything. Ryanek and Ikaya, they're trying to burn through Phoenix Aura. Dido comes in. Depth Charge will get the CC. This is what Grim Legion need. They find 3 kills for nothing. They're gonna get the Pillar of Ice onto Loki Dozy. Hands of Blood will get poked down for now. And Grim Legion will back off after finding the picks. In comes True Shot Barrage, not going to take anyone down.
Oh,
we're going to
disconnection.
Ryanek DCs, and we will enter our first pause of the game, which will give us some time to take a look at a replay of the fight.
I actually think that was probably a little bit poor positioning from Grim Legion. Unfortunately, the front line were kind of just separated. They were, I think Sleepy was doing the right thing, watching for the flank. But I think Nunu should have just been in front of the Corki interest, and they almost went badly. But this time, like I talked about, they have the defensive still. They have stopwatch, they have QSS. They used them both perfectly. As soon as the Camille went, and Akai just immediately stopwatch, able to protect himself. The tank line was able to recover, and so. As we talked about in towards these late game fights, it's harder because when tanks get more items, especially items like Locket, like Knight's Vow, I actually think that Nunu should have probably built a Knight's Vow for the Corki, and PD even for the Tristana. It's just kind of hard for them to kind of get these more flanks and get them working well, because then as soon as they try to use their ability, like Camille, if they basically, since they have PD, they're just going to survive the initial burst, alter away, get the damage, and just instantly kill. As we saw, basically, the Tristana and Corki doing 500 damage per auto to the Camille instantly blew up.
Yeah, and Grim Legion, it feels like they've identified, how to fight. They had a big lead. They kind of were able to afford to lose those 2 fights, and it allowed them to kind of experiment, and they realized, okay, this is what we want to do. They found that fight around Baron. You said that White Lotus, this is a bad time for them to go to Baron. They went for it, and then they decided to chase down Hands of Blood. It didn't quite work out, and it's since then turned back in the favor of Grim Legion, who now have a 6k goal lead.
Yeah, and I think partially, I think also winning those fights may have affected White Lotus's macro. We talked about them probably wanting to more focus on the 1-3-1, especially maybe more of the 1-4. I think this game, since Corki was so strong, Silas wasn't as strong in the side lane. Probably more of that 1-4. And I think eventually, since they were so winning these fights, they just felt so confident. And I think that caused them to kind of lose their identity, because realistically, it's just going to be extremely hard later in the stages as time goes on when these items come to kind of just kill, as we talked about, kill these carries. And I think the one bad thing that they did was that, one, D-Dog got killed in a solo. I wish we could see a replay of how he lost that 1v1 earlier back then, and because realistically, since Camille was pretty strong, it should have been a 1 fight for Camille. I'm gonna see. I really wish we could see how that was played out. But even if they didn't get that split push, they can have Sejuani roam down before Baron spawned, or even towards when Baron spawned, just kill the Trundle and then have Camille TP down to a Baron fight if they are looking for that, something like that. So. Yeah, just losing the identity of what they really want to do, kind of abandoning it for what was kind of succeeding, and then kind of just turning around as soon as the game got later.
Yeah, as Ikai now 5-3, Ryanek 7-5, and in those fights they're just getting that free reign now. As we talked about, Sleepy Bulbasaur now sitting back in the fights, just being able to peel so much more. And if you're Phoenix Ori, you can only taunt Ikaya or Ryanek, and you have to make your decision. And it's a similar thing for D-Dog. You have to focus one or the other, and whoever you focus on, the other one's going to be the person burning through your comp.
Yeah, it's just a difficult position for Phoenix. I think his I actually wish what is it? What is the called the auto attack disable? I think that was actually really well done from Phoenix.
Spirit Refuge.
Spirit Refuge. I think all of his Spirit Refuges have been extremely well done. Stalling, especially the Sejuani death for a really long time, getting on top of it, and then providing time for Camille and Silas to kind of roam, basically flank down and get the kills. So I think the Shen pick has worked out. I just think they, as we're gonna see in unpause, I think they just ran out of time. They needed to make something happen a little bit earlier. They did get some one fights, but I think it was just a little, too late.
Well, 20 seconds until Phoenix Aura is up. Until then, it's a two-man defense for White Lotus. The first inhibitor turret of the game has been absolutely obliterated. Hands of Blood is a little low. Meanwhile, Rhynek pushing in this mid lane. The first inhibitor has fallen. Rhynek getting down some poke and will get this turret really low. Will be able to secure it. And Grim Legion won't get too greedy, and they will back off now as all members of White Lotus have now respawned.
Yeah, so it's going to be a really tough position. Probably again, like we mentioned earlier now. But this time, I really think they're just going to have to wait for a mistake from Grim Legion. If they do find a moment where, actually, now that I say that, Tristana just got a GA. So even if they try to kill a Tristana once, can they really kill her again with the front line kind of hoping to roam down? I'm not sure. So it's just gonna be really tough. They maybe look for a pick in the jungle, use their wards, try to pick someone off, probably the Corki immediately before the siege happens. But I think Grim Legion's is probably just gonna group up as 5 and just ARAM it. Actually, no, they're gonna split the Corki. Okay, he's just gonna buy items. Okay, so probably just wait for him, and I think they're just gonna 5-man it down towards mid or bot, and if that happens, it's gonna be
the
hard.
next Drake of the game is going to be an Elder Drake, and I feel like if either team can get that, they'll end up winning the fight because it is that closely kind of balanced right now.
Yeah, that might be an actually option to maybe try to get a flank for White Lotus, but it's gonna be hard, especially with how strong. Actually, they're going for a 1-3-1. I'm curious, I guess, the decision making on that. I feel like the front line is just so strong right now, especially also Inhib is down, so Camille's not really gonna have a chance to split push. I think they can just 5-man it down and probably win the game, but guess they're probably just gonna want to use their strong members to see what they can do with Soling. Or maybe they're just having some extra practice, maybe practicing 1-3-1 if they ever decide to kind of practice that stuff.
Using a competitive game for practice or a little bit of BM. Is that what you end up telling your Recon 5 to do?
No, I'd probably yell at them right now if they were doing something like this, but I probably actually never mind. They probably shouldn't do that, and probably not doing it now. I think they just either way, no matter what they do, it's gonna be extremely hard for them to kind of lose this. They have double GA now on both carries. Basically means if Camille and Silas get on top, if they can't zone the carries for probably 30 seconds, they probably will not matter. So gonna have to get creative here.
Rhynek and Ikaya both with almost identical builds. The Infinity Edge GA and Rapid Fire on both of them as the top lane wave just pushing by itself, and D-Dog top side doesn't have TP, gonna allow Grim Legion to start on this Elder Drake, and there's gonna be no way for White Lotus to turn onto it, as White Lotus have a think about going for Baron, but they're gonna decide against it as Grim Legion gonna get the mid lane pushing first and now gonna head over. And if you are White Lotus, what do? Do you contest the Baron, or do you respect the fact that Osprey can just TP mid and try to end?
I think they just have to try to steal Baron and fight this, but this is going down real quick.
As Jason jungle, Arctic Assault 2 is doomed. Will be able to flash over the wall, rocket jump forward. In comes a Valkyrie. Jason jungle, nowhere to go.
Now they don't have the stuns with the Camille and Silas to follow up, so it's just harder now, and I think this is just the final nail in the coffin for White Lotus. Probably just thinking about what the the plan is probably for the next draft. What could they have done better, especially towards the early game, and maybe trying to snowball this top lane even harder if they have a comp like this. But I think
This
for now,
may very well be GG. Well played. Inhibit. Next turret number 1 has been taken. Phoenix Aura trying to find a last stand. Crucial barrage comes in. Phoenix Aura gets taken down. Putney going on to Ikaya. Stopwatch has been burned. Redemption comes through. Gotta just save Ikaya. However, in comes a high-tech ultimatum. Ikaya finding the kill regardless. The Nexus is low. The Nexus turret gets taken down. And Grim Legion tie up the score 1 game apiece.
extremely well done. I think they did a lot better playing their comp out. I think they had kind of a similar comp, but I think they had better champions as well as maybe not better, but more comfortable champions that they play so much better with, especially in the early game, as we talked about. I think especially when you can get an early game lead with a team fight comp that isn't really strong on making plays in the side lanes or even mid lane, that's actually a really big advantage. So I think they played it really well. That was a really well done. White Lotus, they might have just given Grim Legion too much, but I did think they have a winnable comp. They trolled sometimes. I think they just need to do a better job of setting the Camille up better. Not just having Camille just keep pushing. Maybe having Camille let the Trundle push a little bit so that it can set up more with the Sejuani Camille. Because especially when Nunu was heading towards bot side or they were 4-man ganking by, it felt like they should have gotten a lot more on that top side.
Well, a good result anyway from the side of Grim Legion, who take game 2 and tie up the scoreline. We're going to be heading into a short break, but we'll be right back with game number 3 of this best of 5 between Grim Legion eSports and White Lotus eSports. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to this best of 5 between White Lotus eSports and Grim Legion eSports. The score is currently tied at 1 game apiece, and as we're about to make our way into picks and bans for the 3rd time tonight, what can we expect to see, Ryanek?
I think, well, we're gonna probably see some adaptations from Grim Legion towards their bans. I think they're gonna have to take Morgana away. I think it's just really comfortable for Phoenix, and it's something they've played all the time. Caitlyn, Morgana, all the time. No matter what lane they pick, you pick into it, they're so comfortable on it that they have the confidence to win. So I think White Lotus I think they need to go back towards trying to play through bot lane. That is one of their biggest strengths as a team, having an extremely strong bot lane. As we see a Corki ban, I think I like that as well. Try to deny some of these picks that they've played for so many times in multiple series.
And I think this just means that Ryanek will probably go on to the Twisted Fate, as the Sejuani going to be banned away as well. And I'm actually kind of confused by this. I know you somewhat explained this in game 1, but instead of banning the Sejuani, why don't you just ban the Trundle and then pick Sejuani yourselves?
Probably because Silas and Olaf are both open, and No Hands Like God does play Olaf. I think it's honestly better if White Lotus just, instead of banning Sejuani, just let them pick Sejuani and pick Silas into it, since Jason Jungle has played Silas Jungle so many times at this point. I feel like that's just a great matchup for Silas, as they're gonna go with something. Okay, they're gonna go with Nautilus. That means one of the other picks that White Lotus does have is the Kai'Sa Nautilus combo, having that kill threat, and plus Morgana's gone, Yumi's gone. That does take away a kind of a strong lane that Grim Legion used previously with the Nautilus Trist.
And this time the Braum is open, and Grim Legion will be hovering over that. They could potentially go for a Lucian Braum matchup, and we'll have to see whether they do.
So those would then be, if it's Kai'Sa Nautilus versus Lucian Braum, that means it's probably going to be down to a jungle matchup, because both of them have really good gank setup and really good lanes. And seeing how these lanes have gone, it's kind of been even, and it's taken some mistake from the jungle or a winning matchup with the jungle to kind of swing it over. Previous game, we had the Tristana get a free kill onto Jason Jungle on the Sejuani, and kind of just be able to snowball from there. They're actually going to pick Ezreal actually for Grim Legion. I actually don't like this pick. I feel like they need to just try to match the aggression, especially since White Lotus really wants to play through this battle side. You see the Silas a lot from Jason Jungle.
Kai'Sa, as you mentioned as well.
Yeah, White Lotus has now gotten a lot more comfort picks than Grim Legion, which is kind of worrying me a little bit. So we're going to see a Vladimir. Wow.
And Vladimir coming through. That may be on Ryanek, or it could be going into the top lane on Osprey.
So right now, then they've kind of picked a safe bot lane to survive the Kai'Sa Nautilus, which tells me most likely they're gonna pick probably something with a winning top lane. Maybe pick jungle here and then counter pick top with either Vladimir or a different pick. It's actually quite interesting though, since they've played so much around their carries, they've kind of switched to.
The Jace is open as well for Grim Legion, and that's something that was banned in game 1 and game 2 as well, possibly.
Yeah.
And I feel like it would work as well with this.
I think
Grim
Olaf.
Legion.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt, but I think Olaf would be perfect here. I think it deals really well with Silas, as we talked about. Perfectly right here. Olaf is really good into Silas. Completely can put the pressure on him at level 6. He just, Silas is really strong, not against Olaf. Stealing Olaf ultimate means nothing for Silas, and Olaf with the 1v1 potential just gonna be able to basically pressure out. Perfect pick. It's gonna be interesting though, because they don't have strong lanes set up. Really, one of the things you want with Olaf is just like CC in the lanes to kind of set you up to get these Olaf kills and have the Olaf eventually snowball. So we're gonna see Gangplank from top lane, looks like, for White Lotus. Now that actually means Green Legion could put Vladimir into the GP. That has been historically a Vladimir heavy favorite as well in competitive play and throughout time. So Xin Zhao. Okay, so Silas mid. I don't like Xin Zhao into Olaf. I guess there isn't really a lot of good picks. I just feel Olaf is still gonna beat the Xin Zhao most likely in a 1v1. Maybe it'll take later. No, just the lifesteal is gonna probably outweigh the Xin Zhao. So interesting pick.
As the Orn getting hovered, so will be the Vladimir mid, Olaf jungle, and on into Gangplank then. How do we see this going? Because I always personally seem to underestimate Orn. I think, okay, it's the tank, and then he just comes up and bats.
Yeah, I think Orn's extremely strong. They've buffed Orn so many times, but they never nerf Conqueror, so it doesn't matter usually. But against GP, it's not bad. It's not gonna be something that probably wins for Orn. GP's just probably just gonna get some grass procs, just be able to push, probably contest the push. Probably nothing much is gonna happen top lane. So again, I think if nothing's gonna happen much with top lane, actually with Olaf, I think they can make plays top. But I think White Lotus did a smart thing where they have now a really good setup on towards bot lane. I don't think Braum is good. Braum and Ezreal are not gonna have a fun time against Nautilus, Kai'Sa, and Zhao. It's an extremely strong 3v, basically 3-man gank setup that they can kind of run anytime. And now with Loki on something more comfortable, like or something maybe not as comfortable, but like something more aggressive, something more that he can just carry on when he can win, and he can win lane with. That favors, I think, White Lotus a lot. So Grim Legion this time they're going team fight. This time not with double carries, but with Vladimir, Ezreal, and they have more damage this time. They have Ornn damage. They have obviously Ornn as a tank still does way more damage than probably Trundle and what did they pick for Scion, especially in a team fight specifically, so with the max health damage. So they have then more leeway basically, because now their carries, they don't have to rely on just having the carries survive. They can rely more on themselves to kind of just get a wombo combo, kill them all, and win the game.
And also, of course, with that Glacial Fissure available from Braum will be quite big in those team fights as well, just to get some disruption through onto the side of White Lotus.
Yeah, I think it's going to be quite interesting too, because, well, I think both teams are probably going to look to team fight, most likely. I think they both have good team fight setups with good AoE ults, nice CC, nice damage. So it's really gonna look like it comes down to kind of execution. And the big thing that Grim Legion does have in favor is they probably can get the jump at all times. White Lotus, especially with the Ornn ultimate and having no Braum to contest. So White Lotus does have Nautilus, so they have one way to kind of start a fight on towards. It's gonna be hard actually, because Braum can block it. Ezreal obviously can get really far from it. Vladimir just pools, and Olaf is just ults. So actually gonna be quite limiting Phoenix. Still, they probably pick Nautilus more for the gank setup, and I think that's gonna be really good. I think it's gonna be an extremely hard game for Grim Legion if Kai'Sa gets ahead. I don't think they have really good ways to deal with Kai'Sa. There's no real lockdown or single target lockdown, so if this Kai'Sa gets 2 or 3 kills, she's gonna be running rampant.
Yeah, and we talked about Osprey into D-Dog in this top lane, the fact that it's gonna be a little bit dull, probably no kills coming through. But what about Putney on this side is going into Reinek's Vladimir? We've seen Reinek on the Corki in both games, and now he's onto something a little bit different.
Yeah, so onto a Vladimir. I think that's okay. I don't think he's gonna probably get pushed, and I don't think he's gonna probably kill Silas, but I don't think Silas is gonna do much against Vladimir. It's gonna be quite interesting, because it's actually, especially for the early game, even talking about, obviously we talked a little bit about the lanes and kind of the setup, but it's kind of like two opposite sides where Olaf really wants to try to pressure the Xin Zhao to prevent these early ganks. You pick Xin Zhao to get these ganks happening, get the early game, set up with your teammates. Olaf he used to pressure the enemy jungle, pressure through river control, getting objectives, and then basically preventing as much as possible from Xin Zhao to work. So the jungle matchup I think is going to be really important because if Olaf is able to kind of take control of the jungle matchup, I think it's actually going to be extremely hard for White Lotus to play what they want. They want to get the bot lane going, right? If Xin Zhao can't go there though, because he's dying to the Olaf or getting pressured to the Olaf, and he has to focus more on farming, that's going to be extremely hard then to kind of play their matchup. Also, if they get pressured, they do have Ornal on top. So we did talk about there's no kills, but they do have Ornal and Olaf that can probably run down a GP. So they have one way to kind of kill. And I don't think GP and Xin Zhao, GP and Xin Zhao can kill Ornn. It's just going to be harder because the Ornn's going to be quite tanky, just building armor.
Well,
I'm going to be curious how this jungle matchup goes.
Yeah, as we were saying, a lot to watch out for in this match. Especially this jungle matchup, the bot lane going to be one of the high focuses, especially for Jason Jungle with a lot of ganks set up from Phoenix Aura especially. We're going to be heading into a short break and we'll be right back with Game 3 between White Lotus eSports and Grim Legion eSports. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Game 3 between White Lotus eSports and Grim Legion eSports. If you haven't already, do hit that follow and subscribe button on the Twitch channel. You do get points for doing so, and at the end of the season, whoever has the most points will get $10 in on PayPal. You can also get points by subscribing, as I mentioned, or hosting tipping, and you can increase your points by betting. I do believe the bets are still open, so you can bet for whichever team you expect to win. 4 minutes left to bet. I have just been given that crucial information, so do get on the Twitch chat and let's see who you put your votes for. As something I want to mention to you, Ryanek, is the aftershock on Sleepy Bulbasaur, not a Guardian.
I feel like he really needs Guardian to survive the burst damage, but maybe confident in his teams. I guess with Olaf and Ezreal, he could be confident since Ezreal can get 2 procs with his Q and auto attack. It's probably okay. It might leave the Ezreal vulnerable though, because if at level 6 Ezreal is in a bad position and the Nautilus ults, there's nothing really to protect him except if he Brahms Nautilus early, which might be hard to do in a 2v2 lane. So I think questionable, but probably okay.
It may be tricky for
Level 2
side
gank bot?
Oh yes, it may very well be indeed, as the Audacious Charge is available for Jason jungle. Let's see if he goes for anything. Phoenix Royal with a flash will land the CC from the passive, finds more CC. In comes the Dredge Line, the follow-up. Ikaya gets taken down, and first blood goes over to Jason jungle.
This is what I wanted to see from White Lotus. Back to the bot lane focus. I think that's something they've lost. Super smart this game to get that early kill onto the Zinzao. As we're gonna see the replay here. I like the pathing. It's just you know the Zinzao needs to make early plays happen. And what's the best lane that's been the most successful for you all season long? Your bot lane. So perfectly ganked, perfectly played by Phoenix. Just waiting for the flash on the Ezreal and then really
I also want to point out a little bit that after they burnt the flash from Sleepy Bulbasaur and Ikaya, Jason Jungle actually turned around to walk away. And then Phoenix Royal was like, hey dude, where are you going? I've got something called a Q. Let's go back in and pick up this kill. As they were able to successfully get that. But also in game 2 as well, White Lotus were able to find that early kill. It was on for D-Dog on that Camille, but Grim Legion still found a way back, and so still a lot of opportunities available for the side of Grim Legion.
Still a lot of opportunity. It's a little bit early. This does though make bot lane extremely vulnerable, so I'm expecting probably a few turret platings to go down for White Lotus. I feel like even if Olaf comes down, it's going to be extremely hard to get ganks off until he hits 6. So it's a pretty nice advantage towards the early game. Grim Legion just have to survive this kind of drop out. Oh, nice pull from Phoenix.
That's a really nice first line coming in from Phoenix Sora, but has to be careful. Otherwise, those concussive blows are stacking on him. As we're going to see, actually. Oh, that's another good Dredge Line coming in. Sleepy Bulbasaur will use the stand beside Braum. Stand behind me.
Zhao is in this lane. This could be a dive. They both have health.
Yeah, in fact, he's going to back up. He's going to get spotted by Hands of Blood. Actually, Hands of Blood is going to turn back to his wolves.
Yeah, with Olaf there, they're really not going to want to get the 3v3. Olaf is extremely strong against Zhao, so nothing much is going to happen as we're just going to see something harass happen top lane. Not really going to lead into kills. Just some harass to each other.
Oh, it's Putney getting off the damage onto Ryanek. He'll back off now after getting the favorable trade, but in the top lane, it's looking really spicy. We said that not much is gonna happen, but both top lanes on so low HP, and it's some really big trades coming in.
Yeah. Well, we're probably GP is low on mana, so we're probably not gonna see a kill per se. We're probably gonna see mostly just farming out. I think one bad thing. Oh, Olaf is not gonna back, so he's gonna actually lose some tempo right here. in towards the Xin Zhao, he really needs to make sure he can keep track of Xin Zhao as much as possible. And the way he can do that is keeping that item advantage. So he's gonna go for a Cinder Hulk. I actually like them to see more for a skirmisher just to win the 1v1. As we're gonna see Jason Jungle back into the bot lane.
Jason Jungle is looking for yet another gang in this bot lane. Doesn't have the flash available though, and will decide to start on the Drake though. However, Hands of Blood is making his way down. Will go on to his Gromp. As you mentioned, the bot lane of Grim Legion are going to back, and they will give a fairly free 5-minute Drake over to the side of White Lotus, which is pretty good. In fact, the Vision Plant will get popped, but there's going to be no way for Hands of Blood to really contest without sacrificing his life.
5-minute Ocean's actually pretty big, because that means more sustain for the lane, especially since Ezreal is reliant more on the poke, Orin's more reliant on the poke, Vlad obviously looking for more sustain. That Ocean Dragon is going to help White Lotus be even more effective in the early game, as they're kind of being able to pressure out all 3 lanes at this point.
And we will be getting a second Ocean Drake as well in 4 minutes. So that'll come through at around the 11-minute mark, as Ryanek looking to get a little bit of a poke down, as D-Dog just shoving this wave in the top side.
Yeah, we're actually going to see a switch to Sweeper from Ornn. I think that's extremely questionable. It's going to be kind of hard for him to make early ganks happen, which is why he took it, but or he wanted to make early ganks happen, which is why he took it, but I think it's just extremely hard in these lanes. And now, especially with Ocean down, it's going to be really hard, because all the lanes are going to pressure out, and eventually he's going to have no pressure to play off him. I think he just needs wards to keep track of where Xin Zhao is going to be. So we're going to see a red side trade. I think that's actually going to favor Grim Legion a little bit, because now they've kind of basically... Oh, we see mid-game.
Oh, in comes the audacious charge Ryanek. He's gonna have to come out of the pool soon enough. The flash out. W's not gonna be able to find enough. The ult from Ryanek securing their kill. Great outplay coming through from Ryanek. As in the top lane, Call of the Forge God is gonna come through. Osprey will be able to find the knockup, flashes forward. However, in comes the ultimate from Gangplank. Has the Flame Breath, not gonna be enough. And that was a really well placed cannon barrage.
Yeah, really well placed. As we saw in the mid lane, I think that was an extremely questionable flash by Jason Jungle. Putney just used all his cooldowns already, and still had 300 health, enough to survive that Xin W. So really questionable on the top side, just too early of a flash. The Ornn really should have just waited for his cooldowns to come up before flashing in and trying to get the kill, but since he flashed too early, the GP ult was able to come up and just kill the Ornn.
Also, the bets are now close. 59% of bets going over to White Lotus. So let's see if the majority of you are correct. Of course, the scores is currently tied at 1 game apiece. And Jason Jungle looking for something in this bot lane once again. Right. Sorry. As Ryanek in the mid lane. He's got the CS fairly even, and as we mentioned just a moment ago, picking up that outplay kill. He's 1-0, which will be really nice for him.
I actually have to really question, though, Jason Jungle's entire path or decision making in this game. You basically got double flash off of bot lane and then didn't go back to it, not even pressure the lane. He took a little bit of bot camp, backed late, and then started counter jungling towards top side when you really want to play. Like, if you were at red buff when Ornn was trying to steal, the Ornn has to run, right? Your bot lane is already strong. You have all this setup, especially when Ezreal Brown has no flash, so really, really questionable. And they're kind of just letting now the game stall, which is letting Ezreal come back into the game, just really farming up. Also, since Ornn was, not Ornn, Olaf was O's, we're going to see it too.
Here comes Hands of Blood. However, Jason Jungle is here as well. The ultimate gets burned. In comes the Hemoblade, gets us a bit more poke over onto Putney. Not going to be enough though, and will just be a trade as Putney forced to burn the flash, as is the Hands of Blood.
Yeah, so not just a 2v2 for both. Basically, the mid lane is going to be really low for White Lotus, which I think favors actually Grim Legion since their mid laner has the back. That means Reinek's going to be able to push that wave, deny some CS, probably a cannon actually against Putney. And for Olaf, he's the jungler, he can back just fine. So we talked about too, when as I'm just gonna finish the point right up with since Olaf again was so far into bot side, we're gonna see.
Oh, Ikaya playing a little bit of aggressive income with the depth
Oh.
shot, the flash forward. However, in comes the glacial fissure. A lot of poke coming through. Ikaya gets taken down. True shot barrage won't be able to come in. Sleepy Bulbasaur with the dash away, getting poked down by Loki Dosi. Can he find the Void Seeker? In fact, the Acathian Rain will be enough to secure the kill.
That is probably worst case scenario for Grim Legion. Not just losing one of your side lane, but both of your side lanes. That means that basically Olaf is gonna be able to do nothing in this early game. You're just gonna have to farm it out, hope to God his lanes to survive, and probably counter jungles and zap. It's gonna be an extremely tough position to be in since now with Double Ocean, they're just gonna be continually pressured out. More turret platings are gonna be going down. I think we're gonna probably see a 3 to 4k gold lead by 15 minutes. So.
Already sitting at the 2k goal lead, and while we saw that trade in the bot lane, Osprey did get taken down by D-Dog in the top side. Yet another solo kill for D-Dog coming in as Putney gonna get a little bit of poke through onto Reinek, won't quite be able to find the abduct, and will back off for now. But as you mentioned, in our second Ocean Drake going over to the side of White Lotus, as fortunately for Grim Legion, they're going to be able to find the Rift Herald, and that will help them out a little bit, especially as first turret is still on the cards. But
They grab it?
Hands of Blood, do you want to
Hands
of Blood
sitting there. Hello? Anyone?
I'm actually feeling really sad right now. Like, okay. Next level strategies coming in from the side of Grim. Did it get stolen?
No, I don't think so. I mean, if it got stolen, he would have probably zoned it off, right?
Yeah.
He just didn't take it.
Did
yeah,
you think
know
he
what?
had it?
He's next leveling us, right? He knows if he uses it, it's totally not gonna get a charge, and it's just free gold.
No, it's, you know what I reckon it is, Nalina? It's, if he picked it up, he wouldn't have his Oracle lens. Sorry, not Oracle. Yeah, the sweeper. Yeah, and that's so important for ganks. I mean, Rift Herald's not going to give you a gank, but sweeper lens will.
Unfortunately, as I mentioned before, I don't think with 2 losing side lanes that he's gonna get much done. So.
As in comes the Hemoplague in the mid lane. Putney looking to turn this around. Putney uses the Hemoplague, his double Hemoplague coming in. Oh, the Cannon Barrage coming through. And Putney finding the kill onto Ryanek, as Jason Jungle might want something, but he's going to be sitting on a ward. Ikaya comes through. Glacial Fissure will find its mark. Concussive Blows coming in as well. Loki Dosi will burn the heal to get Jason Jungle out. True Shot Barrage finds its mark. Jason Jungle surviving. Red buff, thank you very much, he said.
Yeah, nothing can go right currently for Grim Legion. They just unfortunately kind of let these lanes snowball themselves. As we talked about, Olaf, it's hard for him to make ganks happen. He just really needs to try to get an advantage for the now. Well, now he has 3 losing lanes, so even if he gets an advantage, it's really not going to amount to much. Kaisa is extremely strong. GP is really strong. Now the Silas just got a kill. As we're seeing something maybe mid? No, we're not. Okay. But yeah, they're gonna have to just wait now. They need some power spikes. Probably waiting for Ezreal 2 items and get that Ornn, Olaf, Vladimir working and try to win one of these fights in those timings. They're just gonna have to try to outlast this early game pressure that White Lotus is going to kind of be giving, and try not to lose their basically stall out these towers as much as possible. Because unfortunately, as much as they're probably not going to want to admit, these towers are going to be going down.
Yeah, it's 6 kills to 1 in favor of White Lotus, and looks like Jason Jungle might be looking for a pick onto Hands of Blood. Mention will be up to okay. Ryanek is there to zone away the hungry and eager members of Grim Legion. Next Drake is going to be a mounted Drake in under a minute, so that could be something big to watch out for.
Yeah, and I guess we could go back to talking about the previous drag, because it's kind of been unlucky for the Ezreal, as we're going to see a little bit of poke towards mid lane. Probably not much is going to happen. Oh, actually Olaf is there. Oh,
in comes the depth charge. Kai gets taken out really low. Oh, that's a good killer instinct to be able to find the kill. Cannon barrage will come through. Lucky Dozy looking to find a little bit more. Phoenix Aura surviving with a sliver of HP, and now White Lotus will turn their attention to this first Drake of the game. Sorry, not first Drake, first turret of the game, and they should be able to secure that.
as we mentioned in the previous game, where White Lotus was relying a little bit on Grim Legion's mistakes, this time it's the opposite way around. They're gonna have to hope Loki makes some mistakes. He's extremely strong.
As Jason Jungle will be able to spot out Olaf. Can he find the damage? Yes, he can, with a little bit of help from Putney.
Yeah, in a 1v1 he's gonna win that, but if the Silas is able to rotate down, or any of his side lanes, we're gonna see.
We might be seeing something coming through in the mid lane. Ryanek in a bit of a sticky situation. Will be able to use a Sanguine Troll to be able to escape. That's why Lotus will push in this mid lane as well.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, they needed to try to stall these towers out. Well, unfortunately, not gonna happen this game.
As in comes the Glacial Fissure, as Ryanek, Trusha Barrage will come through. D-Dog really low. He's gonna be forced to back up. Can he find any damage? Trusha Barrage has already been used. Loki Does gonna try to find some poke with Void Seeker. 2 kills for 1 in favor of Grim Legion. As now Grim Legion looking to turn this around. They're gonna head over to Drake, but it has already been secured by Jason Jungle. So at least White Lotus finding an objective there.
Yeah, just a little too aggressive. They didn't see where Ornn is. They didn't really see where the carries were, and Jason Jungle was on Dragon, so just a little bit of carelessness from White Lotus, but they're extremely far ahead. And as I was mentioning earlier, Loki is extremely strong, and as we mentioned before, there's really no way to lock him down. Like, what are you gonna use? Olaf? Well, Olaf has to run at him. Ornn is gonna be tough because he can go invis as soon as you hit him. Obviously, Braum ult is gonna be hard to hit on a very fast moving Kaisa. It's just gonna come down to basically just gonna have to try to get a wombo probably as much as possible and get those kills, and then eventually come back into the game.
Yeah. As I hate to do this, but I'm gonna bring this up again because that first turret would have gone over to the side of Grim Legion if they had secured that Rift Herald. Which, I mean, they secured the Rift Herald, but then there was, the Eye of the Herald.
Yeah, some kind of this series. Sometimes Grim Legion is just making these miscue mistakes that maybe the pressure is getting to them. I'm not sure. Maybe they're like tensioning up, but they just really need to.
White Lotus will go in with the dredge line onto the Vladimir. Putney in from behind. That is a clean play. Trisha Barrage will come in, will whittle down that minion wave. Hands of Blood is here. He gets hit by the dredge line. The ultimate coming in from Jason Jungle, looking to find a little bit of poke. In comes Call of the Void God. Will find 2 members with the CC Jason Jungle. The Ignite ticking down on top. Will be able to survive. But, what a Void Seek as Ikaya gets sniped by Loki Dosi.
What a snipe, and now they're just gonna be basically charging through Grim Legion's base. They really have no cooldowns left, no damage left, no Vlad, no Ezreal. They're probably going to be able to take this inhib tower down.
Hands of Blood once again looking for a flank, not quite going to be able to find anything, but White Lotus will back off. And one thing I want to turn your attention to, Nalina, is look at that topside vision control for White Lotus.
Yeah, they're gonna be extremely prepared for Baron. Obviously, they have Kaisa. Probably have Transform on Mana Mune complete soon. Actually, he's just 150 mana away from it, and he has, as we're gonna see a replay here. I mean, this is okay, but again, without Vladimir to follow up, there's just no way they can finish off these kills, and just getting zoned off by the GPL, it's hard for them to chase, and what a snipe from Loki.
Okay, just backing in the wrong place. The Kaya trying to get the back off a little bit too early. We've hit the 20-minute point, and Baron is up on the table. And currently, if you are Grim Legion Esports, you know, what is your win condition? What do you have to start doing?
A Wamba. You're gonna have to look for. They're gonna probably start Baron, in which they're gonna have to funnel in through, in which you could probably look for some kind of Wamba then. But they really. That's what Jason Jungle go in.
Jason Jungle going really aggressive will be forced to use a blast cone to
Trade.
safety. That's just
Yeah.
getting a little bit too aggressive there. For the side of Grim Legion, just gonna clear some vision out from their bot side. Jungle Loki Dosi. Maybe I'll steal our Raptors while in the bot lane. D-Dog pushing in the wave, and Osprey left to just clear. Both top laners have their TPs available for any forthcoming Baron fights.
Yeah, now with GP splitting, now the Ornn has to rotate down, which means they're being an
Oh, the TP's coming in for the flank. This could be the moment. The flash glacial vision will come through. Call of the Forge God will be able to find its mark onto Phoenix Aura. Jason Jungle has already been taken down. Void Seeker has found his mark as in come the depth charge. Ikaya burns through. He finds the double kill. Phoenix Aura finding the hook onto Rhynek. Can Rhynek actually do anything using the Sanguine Pool? Will flash away. Gets taken down by Putney. And Putney will make his way over to the Baron.
Yeah, they get the pick off, but then 3 members split off to chase, and then the Vladimir and Ornn went back towards mid. Maybe a miscommunication in towards shot calling or what, but it really costed them because it's basically they turned a 5v4 into a 3v4, in which obviously with White Lotus's lead they're gonna win and they're gonna take it, and then basically able to finish up. And now they got Baron, they have a split push, now they have an extremely strong Kaisa. I think Grim Legion's gonna have to start thinking about the next game here.
Yeah, potentially so. And Loki Dosi, just in case nobody realized, he's currently 7-0 on the Kaiser. He has 3 completed items. Ikaya's just completed his 2nd.
Yeah, this is extremely bad for Grim Legion here. When Loki has a lead, he is one of the best carries in ABL, and now it's extremely hard. It's bad enough that the Kai'Sa's fed, and as I mentioned a lot here, they have almost no way to kill him. So
We might be
it's
seeing
just
a
gonna-
death.
yeah.
Won't quite be a death rush as the blood will back off. Loki Dosi will take the red buff fairly quickly. Just thank you very much for the meal. You won't be getting any tip though.
Ezreal does not even. He actually completed Muramana slower than the Kaisa. That's when you know it's a feels bad game.
Yeah.
Ezreal has way more abilities. Kaisa has to rely on autos to stack it, and she has it faster.
Yep. As White Lotus though, they still have to crack this base open, going for the 1-3-1 with D-Dog in the bot lane. Osprey is here, they might be looking to potentially find something. Will back off though.
Yeah, now they're just getting pressured in 3 lanes. They actually can't deal with Silas. That Ornn has to deal with it. They're gonna
All
go
of the
in.
Forge God, this might be the fight that's needed. However, Depth Charge will cancel it. In comes the fight. True Shot Barrage will be able to find some damage. Loki Dosi finding the pick onto Osprey. So many members of White Lotus low. Flash forward from Jason Jungle. Double kill going over to Ikaya. Make that a triple. Still a double kill as Jason Jungle finding the kill onto Rhynek. Ikaya has disconnected. 4 kills over for nothing. White Lotus have the game in their pockets. Only a complete mess up now will throw it. They make their way onto Nexus turret number 1. It falls off straight away. Nexus number 2 shortly follows. White Lotus will take game 3 and will take the advantage heading into match point.
Yeah, and I think their comp just really set themselves well to get an early advantage. I gotta praise the game plan, getting that level 2 gank onto bot lane, and then each individual members just outplaying the other on their respective champions, winning those 2 1v1s on the Jeep top. Phoenix and Loki. The Phoenix, especially with all those Nautilus hooks onto the Ezreal, getting those kills. Loki obviously carrying with tons of damage and perfect ultimate placement. And even Putney getting that kind of kill on towards Vladimir later. So Grim Legion and it seems to be the theme where whoever can win through bot lane wins. And I feel like both teams, when they've picked these safe lanes to kind of like survive bot lane, have never made anything happen in the early game. So I think I really think Grim Legion and White Lotus have really got to focus on just trying to win through bot lane, getting good 2v2 matchups or getting good gank setups to snowball them through the game.
And I mean, it's something that we mentioned in Picks and Bans, Ikaya, going with that Israel and, a few other questionable stuff, the Aftershock on Sleepy Bulbasaur. We won't talk about the Rift Herald, but there's a lot for Grim Legion to change for Game 4.
Yeah, so they need to change up, I think. They went a little bit away from their usual style, not in terms of like team fighting, but how they team fight. This is less of a front to back and more of like a run at you, try to kill, line through line with Wombo. And I'm not sure that's something that they've practiced or they've done well with. We haven't really seen it from them much, but
we're gonna make our way into a short break and we'll be right back with game number 4 of a potential 5 as White Lotus look to end the series here and now against Grim Legion eSports. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Game 4 and a potential final game between White Lotus eSports and Grim Legion eSports. White Lotus have the edge at the minute, sitting 2-1, and as we enter picks and bans for the 4th time this evening, we've seen that Kled being banned away and that Porky Respect against Ryanek.
So similar bans are going to take out GP this time. It was a really big impact, and it seems like there's no real tank answer to GP, just farming it away. So I like that. Sejuani's still banned for White Lotus. It was still questionable for me, but it's alright, I think. And Morgana taken out, so no first pick Morgana. Nautilus is open. Is that something they're going to need to ban?
Yeah. The Sivir open as well, but as you mentioned, not another Morgana being taken away from White Lotus, which is something that worked really well for them in Game 1. As we saw in the previous game, that Kai'Sa, the Kai'Sa Nautilus available, which they could go for again, but this time White Lotus is going to ban the Nautilus away from Grim Legion.
Interesting. So a lot. So the two main supports that's been kind of showing, Nautilus and Morgana, that's one, have both been taken out. So we're gonna have to see something new.
Yumi's open for the first time.
Yeah, it is. So
I just realized. Yeah.
well, that's not bad. Is there anything else? Nunu potentially. Silas. Okay, so they're gonna take the Silas finally away from White Lotus, removing kind of that flex. Obviously flexible in 3 lanes, and here we see the Yuumi. Okay, so White Lotus this is probably the first time I'm gonna see them play Yuumi, and this time it's gonna be interesting because that is more of like a passive lane and J4 to set up. I actually like this. Now they have some team fight. They can engage with the Jarvan and Yuumi. They can also disengage with Yuumi. Gives them some flexibility in towards their draft.
Yeah, and we'll also have to see as well from Grim Legion if that Silas is going to be going in the jungle.
Where's the Nunu?
Oh, of course it's not going in the jungle. It's Nunu jungle, and it will most likely then be Ryanek playing the Silas mid lane. Whereas for the side of White Lotus, you still have the Ezreal, something that does work with the Yuumi quite well. And I believe Lucian works fairly well with the Yuumi as well.
Yeah, so I'm curious what Grim Legion. I think Xayah or Lucian could work for AD if they really want to go somewhere around that route. I think they have good disengage now again with the Nunu. We see the Xayah. I think Xayah's perfect here. Kind of can evade the Yuumi ult, can evade Jarvan ult. One of the big issues, right, where we saw actually in the series against No Fear was the Yuumi on top of the carries. I think Xayah is probably the one carry that can dodge it away, threatens Rakan, which I think is a pretty good lane. And also White Lotus, it's not going to be easy because now Sivir is usually the pick with Yuumi, but Sivir isn't the greatest against Xayah. We're still going to see Sivir though.
Sivir will come through, and most likely White Lotus will ban away the Rakan. That does make sense, but the Alice are going to be banned first actually, so we're going to see 3 support bans most likely. Let's see what Grim Legion do decide to ban.
Yeah, most likely they need to take away the initiation from Grim Legion. That's still the one thing that they're probably lacking. As we kind of go through the early picks, I'd like the Nunu to deal with Jarvan, kind of a jungler that can match the early pressure that Jarvan brings, as well as bring team fight pressure when Jarvan, like, you know, you can reactionary ultimate as soon as Jarvan goes in. It's kind of perfect. I see an Urgot line band and a Vladimir band, 2 champions that just want to go in. So we're again seeing kind of like game 1 and 2 where it's a big. It looks like they're gonna want to play a big front line and then peel back for the carries, which I think is not bad.
I mean, once again, I'm just going to say the Renekton is open. We haven't seen it at all this series, and I think it is something that could potentially be picked up. The Sion open as well for the side of Grim Legion, something that they did make work back in game 2, as the Karma going to get picked up, which can be flexed between that top and the mid lane.
I think they need one more damage threat potentially, and I think they need an engage support, probably something to kind of start these fights off. Obviously, it's not going to be the greatest against Yuumi, but they need more reliable ways to kind of either CC them. Actually, Kiana could, if they could fake Kiana into a comp, it'd be interesting. Really?
Oh,
I don't think that's the pick.
it must.
That's a Blitzcrank. Interesting.
I mean, Blitzcrank's even better. Let's go, ladies and
It's
gentlemen.
into
But
Sivir Yumi though.
oh yeah. But if the Blitzcrank hooks the Yumi, he can CC the Yumi for long enough for the Yumi to die before Yumi can use a W. back
True,
onto
but then
Sivir,
wouldn't it
maybe?
be better to just pick Thresh that can give you like an ultimate, not an ultimate, sorry, a lantern to basically bring out, as we're gonna see, Yasuo for D-Dog. That's right. D-Dog is a big Yasuo player, so I think it's a perfect pick into Gnar. Obviously, can win while boomerangs. It's gonna be quite interesting. This time they have Yumi Sivir, which I think it's okay into Blitz Zaya. I kind of wish we saw something like along the lines of Thresh for Grim Legion. I think that would have been really strong because then Ninu can just kind of freely gank Lantern out. Also, Lantern gets out of Jarvan. They can make a little more aggressive plays towards bot, but still, I think Grim Legion has an alright comp. They have an identity back where you play towards these team fights mostly around your carries with the Zaya in particular. And then, for White Lotus, you are looking to front to back all and run forward to back with Jarvan, Yumi, and Karma, and Yasuo. I really like, and they're really flexible too, which they can answer with disengage, with Karma speed, Sivir speed, and Yumi speed to disengage, as well as engage. So it's really flexible from them. They are a little bit squishy. They have to rely on basically Jarvan to be the only front line. So I'm slightly worried that, let's say, if Yasuo falls behind and they have to rely on the early game with Sivir Karma damage, that they might be lacking to win these fights in kind of like a 15-minute, 20-minute timing. I think that's when Grim Legion should probably use the timing. I think that's when they're much stronger in team fights. Afterwards, I think scaling will take over with Yasuo Sivir, and then they will be able to out damage that.
We'll have to wait and see, but a lot of pick potential coming through from White Lotus with that prowling projectile, the On the Hunt, and of course the Karma Inspire speed up. Also, we've got a Gnar, which is always something quite exciting to see. But going into did we say it's going to be Karma top or the Yasuo top?
It's probably going to be Karma mid. I think Yasuo is just so good into Gnar and D-Dog is so comfortable on Yasuo that I would not take away that Yasuo pick from them. It is a little bit vulnerable to Nunu. If you don't, especially if you don't have enough minions, the Nunu's then just gonna come in and win wall or not, you're probably going to die. I don't think you're gonna have the damage as Yasuo to kill Nunu through health. So a little bit vulnerable to ganks. Sivir and Yumi, it's again the safe lane. I'm wondering if they can maybe pressure out bot lane for Grim Legion side with the Zaya Blitzcrank lane. If they can pressure out, then Blitzcrank might be able to roam, and even though Karma is an extremely strong laner, she can be vulnerable to a Blitzcrank roam into its mid lane to just kill that Karma.
Yeah, and this is something that you've been mentioning, Nalina, between the games when we've been talking. You know, the side that takes the more aggressive bot lane has been winning, and you know, this time the Zaya Blitzcrank is the more aggressive lane, but into a Yumi and more specifically a Sivir that has a spell shield is going to be quite difficult for Grim Legion to find
I think it's
kills.
tough. I wish that I wish that Blitzcrank was like Leona, because I think Leona
yes.
because you can have Leona stun up Sivir without spell shield, right? And then
Yeah.
you're single target CC, so you can target whoever Yumi's upon, basically the Sivir, and just kill her with Zaya snare coming up. I think that would have fit a little bit more. Fortunately, they can't change their picks after picking the Blitzcrank. They might have maybe panic picked Blitz, or maybe Sleepy has just played this champion a lot and something he's comfortable. As we're gonna see, no flash on the Blitzcrank. Yeah, no flash on the Blitzcrank
There
goes
we go.
exhaust ignite. Huh. So they really want to kill
That,
the Sivir.
you know what? That might be quite clever, because if he hooks Phoenix Aura and drops the exhaust on him, it'll take longer for Phoenix Aura to reattach and give more chance to get the kill, right?
Yeah, but it's also relying a lot on your enemy's position instead of taking the initiative
True.
yourself. One of the big things that you take with Blitzcrank is Hex Flash, and now you can't take Hex Flash with
Yeah.
the Blitzcrank, which removes a lot of playmaking opportunities for Blitzcrank. So now it's actually also now he's extremely vulnerable to J4 ganks, especially at level 6. J4 ult is basically a free kill onto Blitzcrank. So unless Nunu is able to predict it and just come when Jarvan answers, it's gonna be not gonna be easy. Yeah, it's really interesting actually. These drafts and decisions are kind of interesting. I think this time White Lotus has kind of played something more standard, something that a lot of competitive teams play, except maybe like Yasuo, J4, Karma, Sivir, Yumi. Those are champions we've seen all the time.
Yeah.
Fortunately, Yumi and Sivir have gotten nerfed on the next patch, so maybe less of them. But it's going to be
Okay.
down to meta versus more comfort for Grim Legion.
Yeah, and this mid lane then, Putney on the Karma, a champion that has a lot of poke early on just because it has the soul flare. How do we see that mid lane match going?
I think Karma was going to be able to get pressure, but I think she's much more vulnerable. I don't really see Karma. I don't think Karma's going to push. Even though she can push, I don't think she should push. She's against Nunu. If she goes over half the lane, it is just death. There's no way after you lose your first flash, there's no way you're escaping Nunu Kings unless you see him. So probably focusing a lot more for the Karma on vision, making sure she's safe, making sure the Nunu is basically on the opposite side of where she can be. Because as long as she does that, she's a really good skin. She provides a lot of utility, a lot of damage, and a lot of poke. That is one option that I forgot to mention is that this time White Lotus has disengage, engage, but they also have poke. So they can take their time, poke them out a little bit, and then team fight afterwards.
Well, we have a lot to look out for Sleepy Bulbasaur on an interesting support being that Blitzcrank, but without Flash. We're going to be heading into a short break, and we'll be right back with Game 4 between White Lotus eSports and Grim Legion eSports. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Game 4 and a potential final match between White Lotus eSports and Grim Legion eSports. White Lotus currently sitting 2-1 and will be looking to take the game. If you haven't already, do follow and subscribe to us on Twitch. All of the proceeds from that do go towards making these production's even better for you, so you can have an even more enjoyable experience. You also get points for subscribing, hosting, and tipping. So if you do that, you can get some extra points and you can work your way up to the top of our points leaderboard. Whoever is at the top of the points will get $10 on their PayPal account. And with all that said and done, let's make our way into gamers. It looks like Grim Legion just going to put a few members in this brush on top of the red buff.
Surprised no invade from Blitzcrank. I feel like he's just one of the champions that you kind of naturally invade with, get a flash out for free and walk out. But so they're gonna play it safe. How much are we betting that we're gonna see J4 pad towards bot for an early gank on the Blitzcranks? I think that's really possible, and especially if they knew Nunu is starting red side, they probably will not expect Nunu to be able to answer. So I'm gonna be looking to see what this early pass gonna be.
Both junglers going to start with their red buffs for now, and we talked about, you know, every single game how important this bot lane matchup will be and the jungler influence there. And this time with J4 and the new, both champions that do have a good gank potential pre-6 as well as post-6, it will be interesting to see where they do focus their attention.
Yeah, and I'm gonna see who's gonna be able to get that ganks happening. As we're gonna see a pretty efficient route from Nunu, so not gonna be many plays happening early on then. J4, he's going to skip his chicken, so potentially looking for something early on towards bot lane at a level 3 timing, and Nunu's probably gonna be backing after Krug, so this could potentially work out. Bot lane is pushing for Grim Legion, which is going to make them susceptible for this.
And we'll have to wait, of course, when Ikai does hit, sorry, not when Ikai, when Loki Dosi does hit level 3, we'll have a lot of ways to disengage from Hands of Blood, of course. Has that spell shield available to him. As Sleepy Bulbasaur just going to stay aggressive in this brush.
No?
As you mentioned, Jason Jungle will potentially be looking for a gank. Gonna go for the Scuttle Crab first, potentially when it does spawn, but in comes the biggest ever snowball onto Putney. The Inspire will come through, and that's a bit of a zoning snowball coming through. The CC will come through. Putney getting taken down. Reload the flash forward. Kill comes through onto Rhynek as Flag and Drag will get the CC. He's just out of turret range though, and that's gonna be a good escape from Rhynek. Oh. The flash no longer available for Rhynek. Can't go for the turret dive onto Jason Jungle. D-Dog is here, but he's too far away, and that will give Osprey a little bit more time just to get some CS in that top lane.
Talking about who's going to be able to get the play, and Jason Jungle just decided not to commit to the bot.
Sleepy Bulbasaur, he's burned. Oh, he burned the exhausted close in onto Loki Dosi. Loki Dosi flashing to avoid the rocket grab. And that's going to be a flash down for the ADC for the side of White Lotus, and potentially now Hands of Blood could take a look down to this bot lane.
Yeah, now this has been best case scenario. The Gnar has a losing matchup, has gotten space since Yasuo's roamed down. They got the kill onto the Karma, like we mentioned, right? Karma really can't push. He was over river and way too aggressive. Needed to be a lot better position, and Jason Jungle did not commit when bot lane was super pushed up for them. And so now Grim Legion are going to get the first advantages, which I like to see. That's basically what's been kind of the winning recipe for all these teams, and so we're gonna have to see if White Lotus can respond with plays on their own.
We'll have to see if they can. D-Dog playing aggressive, looking to get some trade, will get the knock up onto Osprey. We'll get down the poke. D-Dog will be able to back off though, and a slightly favorable trade in the end for Osprey.
Yeah, and actually, Nunu stayed a long time towards bot lane, even got a counter jungle, and was not able. And Jason was not able to respond when he's actually going for a top gank. It's gonna be hard because this wave is pushing into the Gnar.
Osprey will be hitting his Mega Gnar very, very soon. 2 more auto attacks might just do it. And he's looking for a Jason Jungle, is waiting patiently as that'll just be a nice normal transformation to Mega Gnar. Won't commit for anything at all.
And it turned out to be a big waste of time. Maybe a lack of communication because it just seemed like the wave wasn't there. So, fortunately, it wasted a lot of time, and the Nunu is just getting a lot of things happen. Basically, just being able to farm and catch up. You know, he sacrificed a little bit of his jungle timing, but since Jason Jungle was never able to make time happen and wasted a little bit too much time, he's able to get a nice tempo lead into the jungle.
First strike of the game is available. Jason Jungle is going to look for a similar gank in the bot lane. Will be able to sneak into the bot side brush. And if Ikaya and Sleepy Bulbasaur get a little bit too aggressive, as they potentially will, Sleepy Bulbasaur going to go in, flag and drag comes through, finds the knockup. Sleepy Bulbasaur, he has no flash as the Boomerang Blade going to come through. That's a good rocket grab. He gets the power fist as the Prowling projectile just misses its mark. Phoenix, or just about going to be able to dash back onto Loki Dosi. But that's really well played by Grim Legion to find the kill.
Ninja's gone from bad to worse. We talked about trying to punish the no flash Blitzcrank, but then they just they commit enough and then they overcommit and the TP comes down, as we're gonna see a replay from a different game, in game 3. As we're gonna try to get that fixed for you guys, but looks like Dragon's gonna go down for Grim Legion. As we're gonna see the fight top.
Yeah, fight coming through in the top lane. There's actually nothing really going to get committed on as Steedog dashing forward and back out, as you do on Yasuo, so that you can never work out where on earth he is going with that sweeping blade.
And this is gonna be quite hard now for White Lotus if they can't get this early game to fix. They really needed to rely on getting an early game advantage because, again, as I mentioned, they have a trough in power in terms of timing where Grim Legion is going to be stronger as a 5v5, which is, if Karma and Yasuo is not able to get an advantage, Nunu and Nara are going to be too tanky for them to deal with. Especially since Sivir is now a little bit behind, so we're gonna have to see White Lotus look to be making some plays. We're gonna see Jason Jungle towards top side.
Yeah, we'll be looking for a potential gank. As Dido gonna play a little bit aggressively. We'll be able to get the knockup, but that's about it. And Jason Jungle will probably just go for another back as Osprey. He's playing the lane really passively, constantly under turret, never really pushing past the river point, and I mean it's kept him safe, and he hasn't died in what we mentioned was a losing matchup.
Yep, and so we're gonna see we're not seeing the combo.
Oh, he's getting aggressive. Osprey comes in with the flag and drag instantly into the last breath. D-Dog finds the kill. We'll take a couple of turret shots, but it's not enough, and a good kill coming through as Jason Jungle's patience will persevere. Our biggest ever snowball in the bot lane is a 3-man dive. Phoenix Aura gets taken down. Loki Dozy is next on the menu. It's a good double kill. Or actually, it's 1 kill for Hands of Blood, 1 kill for Sleepy Bulbasaur.
That was a big mistake. Big mistake.
Oh, TP coming in from D-Dog. The TP will be matched
really?
by Osprey. Where are you going, D-Dog? You're in the middle of everything. We'll be able to use a sweeping blade out. Osprey, he dashes in. We'll be able to find poke. It's not going to be enough. D-Dog will be able to escape using that sweeping blade to good effect as Jason Jungle is here on the hunt, has been but Prowling Projectile will find his mark. Oh, the Blitzcrank hook hooks Jason Jungle into the team as Absolute Zero almost finds the kill as poor Hands of Blood just about surviving as you mentioned, Jason Jungle get absolutely taken down by Ryanek, finding the pick, and this is what Grim Legion like to play, these extended fights, these extended skirmishes, and they make it work. 6 kills versus 2 and almost and over a 4k gold lead.
Yeah, now the front line is getting strong. They're getting the objectives. They're playing again through the bot lane, like we mentioned in this entire series. We're gonna almost see we're not gonna see anything happen mid, I don't think. But Reinek's being really greedy here for CS.
Will be able to use the abscond to dash away as Ikaya looking for something now onto Lokidos. He's playing really aggressive, trying to get the damage. Blade Caller not quite going to be enough. Imagine if Sleepy Bulbasaur had Flash.
Yeah, that would have been a lot helpful. Or some, yeah. Fortunately, not able to apparently take that summoner because he needs Exhaust Ignite.
Biggest ever snowball will come through. Nothing going to transpire of that. However, going to give a few quick shout-outs to some more people who have followed the stream. Hyotari562, the K-Man, as might have to hold that thought as Ryanek getting taken down so low there.
Yeah, one of the things you don't want to really take is these poke from the Silver Yumi. That's the potency of that lane, getting that poke damage down. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to get zoned off, which means actually bot lane is gonna be able to recover now because they see Nunu, and they see in mid having to cover for Sylas, and they're gonna lose a little bit of pressure, which means a little bit of that gold lead is gonna come back for White Lotus.
Also, I just want to mention that Putney, he's gone Kleptomancy Karma, and he's got a 20 CS lead over Ryanek, and however, that's nothing. They're bang even on goal just because Ryanek is 2-0.
Still though, he does have 2 kills, and that's actually not bad if they're down 2 kills. I'm wondering if they're gonna try to commit to maybe a bot tower since they saw bot lane go back. Looks like Nunu's not, but they might be looking towards that dragon like we talked about, and it's a mountain. It's gonna be really huge since they already, when we saw game 2, that Nunu's Smite Consume is a really big objective confirm, and just having a mountain threatens those 20-minute barons that are really potent.
As the pings coming down for the Raptors, Jason Jungle is at his Raptors, so I'm not sure if that's a prediction or Hands of Blood saying I want to go for those. As everything's settling down for a bit. Rift Herald is on the map as we hit the 13-minute mark in this game.
Yeah, so Grim Legions is gonna have to just try to be patient, because even though they're strong as a comp in towards the mid game, they really still need the item spikes. I still think Hands of Blood can look more towards getting potential ganks. The mid gank, I feel like they didn't go back to it, even though it worked that first time and Flash was down. So we're gonna see a trade on Rift Herald. Are we gonna see pressure them from bot lane? I feel like they can.
Jason Jungle has started on the Rift Herald. This will be quite nice for White Lotus. First turret is still on the map, and this can potentially get popped in the bot lane if Jason Jungle can find a successful gank.
And we're gonna see the Rift Herald, and we're actually gonna see I think a jungler take it. Yes, we're gonna see Jason Jungle take a Rift Herald, guys. So
he shows us how to do it.
yeah, he's gonna immediately pop the top, get the platings. I mean, snowball the Yasuo. That is one of the win conditions that we laid out.
Oh, the turret plates just fell, so
that's unfortunate.
That's a shame, yeah.
Still, they should be able to get first tower. I don't see them being able to push fast enough, and the Sylas is trying to run down and pressuring the bot line. So,
as in goes. No, however, the turret's gonna fall. The TP comes through. Ryanek is here. That's a great Osprey trying to find so much. Jason Jungle. The tornado's gonna hit. However, the last breath won't get followed. That's a big snowball. Is coming through. The target is not gonna be Jason Jungle. They're gonna go over for Putney. The kill has been secured. Absolute Zero will come in. That's a good jump in by Osprey. They find the double kill going over onto Ryanek. Hands of Blood completes the third kill in the bot lane. Sleepy Bulbasaur getting aggressive. Final chapter will come through. The rocket grab won't find his monkey. Kai is so low. He'll burn the ultimate, but he's getting kicked down. He gets absolutely deleted. Ryanek goes in with the abscond abduct. Is forced to flash to safety. Prowling projectile gonna get eaten by Sleepy Bulbasaur. But Sleepy Bulbasaur can't take the boomerang blade, as it's another kill going over to Phoenix Aura.
I like the idea of a sleepy missed the hook. That was so unfortunate. And now with the hook missed, the Yumi and Sivir just gotta be able to react with free boomerangs, free damage, and we're gonna see a replay here. I like this top lane play. Really, really smart. They know with the CC they have and the timings that they are stronger, especially.
Oh, but going back to live, actually, see Leafy
Oh.
Bulbasaur playing aggressive. Loki Dosi could have followed, but in comes the biggest ever snowball. He will get burnt from Loki Dosi to be able to escape. TP, yeah, TP coming in now for D-Dog, but I feel that's quite a delayed reaction.
Yeah, and pretty unfortunate. It's interesting. I guess now they can potentially lane swap it with Yasuo, but a little bit weird using the TP there, especially since the Sivir had no mana and she already came out. So, bit of a waste there. So we'll see if that costs them in towards the next objective, especially towards Dragon. Right now, most likely that's just going to be the timing we're waiting on. We're really waiting for just a reason for the teams to fight. That's going to be with the objectives coming. Unfortunately, since Sivir got those kills, she's going to be a little stronger than they probably want them to. Especially since bot lane was doing alright. They're still even in items at least. So
I just want to say as well, like, Ikaya is 0-2-5. If he had picked up even 4 of those kills, he'd be 4-2-1, which would make us, which would change the kind of dynamic of this game as Hands of Blood looking to find the CC.
So
Will be able to hit the CC. In goes Reinek, not quite going to be able to find the abduct. Doesn't need it though. In comes the double cataclysm that we like to see. Reinek will be able to survive under turret as the Triumph procs will come in. Good stuff as the second turret of the game will get taken. First turret was already secured by White Lotus in the top lane.
Yeah, even with 1 kill, they have the biggest thing is there's no real way to kill Nunu right now. Nunu is just extremely tanky. He has all the kills and all the assists. He's gonna be one unkillable Yeti until we get some items coming, especially with a champion like Karma. That's really your only AP damage. Karma, who's maybe building utility, it's gonna be a tough game to be killing this Nunu.
Yeah, the armor potential or the armor build potential for the side of Grim Legion is going to be something to watch out for, as the Infernal Drake does get picked up by Grim Legion, and they've got 3 Drakes to nothing. Still got another 2 minutes for Baron, but they're looking in control of this game right now.
Yeah, and so they just gotta really again look. They're taking the objectives one at a time. They do have them double mountains, so I'm really looking towards them setting up towards Baron soon. I think that is going up in a minute and a half. They're gonna want to try to set that up. I think they are cheeky. They can maybe look to pressure some waves and look for maybe a 20-minute sneak, but most likely a team fight at a later time is also okay. They really just want to try to push the tempo on towards the objectives, because right now this is when they're strongest. They don't really want to let this go too far into the game. They'll be okay until 35-40 minutes at this point. But they're going to need to be able to kind of control the pace and look for their own place.
Indeed they will, as we're getting closer and closer to that Baron spawn time, and Hands of Blood, of course, every time you've got this the Nunu, you have to consider the Consume Swine, just how much damage it deals, and it's never a 50-50 versus a Nunu.
Yeah, it's never a 50-50, and double mountains with few crit items is probably gonna kill Baron real quick. I'm really wondering why they have Xayah bot lane right now. I feel like he should be with a team towards mid, Gnar, or I think better yet, the Sylas should be dealing with the Yasuo. Sylas has 2 items, the Yasuo has 1.5. Sylas is historically really good into Yasuo lane. I'm not sure what this lane allocation is, so we'll see if they can fix this up, because Baron is just about to spawn.
Yeah. And the TP will be available for D-Dog soon, but it is on cooldown. It's on cooldown for Loki Dosi as well, as in the top lane. Sleepy Bulbasaur looking for the flank, as Actually, Hands of Blood is going to get spotted out now by Jason Jungle. Where will Sleepy Bulbasaur go? He's going to just stay in the brush for now. We won't see any dive coming through. A lot of respect giving to Jason Jungle and Phoenix Aura.
Yeah, so Zaya just got to her 1.5 spike with Zeal. So that Baron threat is going to be realistic. So I got to continue to watch that out. This Yasuo is going to win this hook push, but right now I don't think he has the damage to kind of pressure out the Gnar onto the tower. So it's going to take some time to get that push going. That's the time that Grim Legion needs to use to put pressure onto that Baron. I think they can actually really look for it. Look for it if they have to engage into. Oh, so we're seeing a snare.
Oh, Sleepy Bulbasaur, will he go for it? He tries to predict the side step, but he's not going to be able to find the hook as Lotus will be able to escape perfectly fine.
Yeah, and I feel like they're just a little passive onto the Baron. I know, it's kind of a close game, but they do have double mountains, and I don't think with Gnar and Nunu, this is really where they want to play right now, so... Exactly what are they waiting for? Maybe rapid fire on Zaya, I guess? Maybe Thorn, maybe Gnar with their Sterix, maybe waiting on those 2 items before fighting.
Yeah.
We'll see.
The Zeal item is going to be really important for Micaiah. Loki-Dosi, though, going for that IE as his second item. Both junglers have picked, sorry, not both junglers, both mid laners have picked up the Luden's Echo as Putney going for that Athene, which makes a lot of sense on the Karma, while Rhynek going for that Protocol.
Let's see, they finally got to take out some vision towards Baron. Just having this Baron dance kind of take over. Oh,
that's a really good rocket grab. They find the big flag and drag, though, will be able to get Jason Jungle to safety. And no further commit from the side of Grim Legion eSports.
I felt like the silence should have lasted longer, but I guess it didn't. So able to get out with the flag and drag and not able to kind of PC him down. So we're just gonna see. I think they're probably just gonna go to the dragon, probably take that. I don't think White Lotus is gonna be looking to contest, no matter what way it is. It's gonna be Ocean. So we're gonna see maybe a play top side. I doubt it.
The Ocean Drake will get started by the side of Grim Legion. There's going to be nothing that White Lotus can do to contest as this is now a 4 elemental Drake side, and in fact they could actually get all 6 elementals. The 5th Drake is going to be a mountain and it will spawn before that 30-minute crucial point.
Yeah, so 6 dragons is going to be extremely tough for White Lotus because, as we mentioned, White Lotus does scale very well. But if it does end up going to an Elder, I don't think that scaling is going to matter, especially with this many dragons. So it's got to be something White Lotus got to be careful of, especially if they don't want to fall too far behind then in a 35-minute point where they could lose a fight, or else this could be. The scaling might not just be able to matter. 6 dragons. That's a really enticing proposition for Grim Legion. We'll see if they can get there.
Yeah, and you mentioned that White Lotus do scale well. I mean, despite though being that little bit weaker in the early game, it might be 11 kills to 4 in favor of Grim Legion, but it's only a 2k gold advantage. The turrets are perfectly level. It's really just this massive Drake advantage that they have.
Yeah, I really wish they used it a little more. They have double mountain. They could be looking to prod a little more, force more of that vision control into Baron to force them to face check and be more aggressive around face checking it. But really, we're seeing some passive play from Grim Legion. No real committal.
D-Dog going for the engaged last breath, gonna come through. As Gnar gonna be able to just use that hyper to safety.
Yeah, he's almost there. He does have an item advantage right now, or half an item advantage. So it's going to be winning the duel, which probably means he's going to get top tier. Well, he has no ultimate, so if the Gnar stays, I think he's actually okay. Especially with Mega Gnar coming up.
And we talked about this, how this is not really a good matchup for the Gnar into the Yasuo, as the Yuumi are going to get picked up by Rhynek, which is pretty good because he'll get the CC with it and the AP scale.
Just see a Baron dance. They're kind of just waiting for a phase check, but they see a pink in the pit, so they need to clear it out. So they're gonna have 3 men. Okay, so taking a little bit of damage. And we're gonna see bot tower go down from the Yasuo. So this is, I feel like they need to make something happen from Legion. They need to commit to it. They need to commit a lot more towards this.
Oh, they're able to find the rocket grab. Flash will come through. Final chapter instantly follows up. Finds yet another bit of CC as Jason Jungle gets taken down. Ikaya finally getting onto the scoreboard with the jungler down.
Hey, Jason Jungle just sitting on a ward, randomly backing, and now they're gonna have to contest this. Oh, you see a hook, have double mountain, a smite steal. I feel like there's no way to contest, and White Lotus is gonna have to concede this Baron.
The Baron will get secured for the side of Grim Legion eSports. 12 kills versus 4. They've got a 3.3k goal lead. Let's see how much they can extend that by now that they've got this Baron buff on all 5 members.
Yeah, so they're actually not gonna back. I'm surprised because they have a lot of gold in the inventory. They have been waiting, so they're gonna just take the tier 1s for now. And then, okay, so they're just gonna back off after the tier 1s, although the Silas is still pushing, so I'm kind of curious what's happening.
Rhynek, does he feel like he can take down D-Dog on his Yasuo? In we go. The last breath will come through, and D-Dog finds the kill.
The Silas had 2k gold, the Yasuo just bought, there was no way that was gonna happen, so I'm really not sure why Rhynek was even there. His team was already backing off, they wanted to reset, spend the gold, and that's probably what they should have done, and basically given more time for White Lotus now, because they now have to wait for Rhynek's spawn timer.
That will be in just over 20 seconds, but as you mentioned, not enough. Just a bit too aggressive as in the mid lane. Sleepy Bulbasaur searching, probing for those hooks. We're not going to be able to find anything just yet.
I guess one thing I haven't considered with the scaling is that they are sorta hard on the AP, especially with.
Oh, Engage coming through in the bot lane. Sweeping Blade will buy a little bit of time. Sleepy Bulbasaur moves forward, can't find the rocket grab. Will be able to escape without taking too much turret damage.
Yeah, unfortunately, if Blitzcrank had flash there, he could flash E and then pull, but decided to take exhaust. No flame in any way. But going to get the dragon, the 5th dragon of the game. Triple mountain now, so this Elder Dragon and this Baron over time is going to go down like basically a knife on butter. So gonna be card. We're gonna see a 2-3 setup. Okay, we're gonna see a 1-4 setup. The Yasuo is kind of in a bad position. They need the Karma and Sivir for wave clear, so they're probably gonna get this tier 2. Oh, wind wall. Forgot about that. So here's a way to stall it out.
But crucially, White Lotus do have that wave clear to just try to deny as much object damage as they have. As Grim Legion gonna pick up the inner turret and start pushing that in. Next Baron will be up in 3 minutes as the rotation will come through now to the mid lane as the inner turret will get taken. The final inner turret will be in this top lane.
Yeah, so as we can see, actually Grim Legion has done a good job because even though the gold was close, the Dragons is in their favor, and now with this gold lead, the scaling is going to mean even less because in an even game, White Lotus would definitely outscale, but now...
Here we go, Sleepy Bulbasaur making his way forward. Can he find anything? They're going to wait for the turret to get taken down, and Sleepy Bulbasaur just missing that rocket grab as Grim Legion just got to set up as much vision control as they can. Jason Jungle might get caught out if he's not too careful, but Jason Jungle, Rhynek will get spotted out by the sweeping lens.
Yeah, and I think White Lotus is this. Even though they lost all 6 of their towers, I think it was the correct decision to wait. Only because it's hard right now for them to team fight. They don't really have the items. They don't really have the champions to kind of counteract that. They need time, as well as the split push setup. Because remember, when they were getting most of their advantages, it was through the Yasuo split push. But you can't split push while the Baron's up. So now that Baron's down, you can go back to bot. They can try to stall it out as much as possible. I think they just need to play it a little better towards those Baron dances. Not having a jungler back on top of a ward, playing it safe, and then looking for your timings there.
And right now, D-Dog's starting to come more and more online. Has that Sterix gauge as well, building towards what I'm going to presume is a Bloodthirster. But, Hands of Blood is always going to be a really strong early game on this Nunu. But eventually, he's going to fall.
He is, I think, lesser to this extent because there's a lot of AD. But I think he will scale off. The issue is that even though he scales off, the J4 is extremely far behind. So, I don't know if the game's gonna end by the time J4 outscales him, only because of the item difference. I think J4 is extremely powerful and way more useful in minion, but
yeah, it's almost a 4k goal lead for Hands of Blood. 2 items for Jason Jungle, including his jungle item, whereas, almost a 4th item coming in for Hands of Blood as in the bot lane. It won't be a 4 commit D-Dog, just looking to get a little bit of poke for now, as just going to see the usual setup of vision around Baron coming through from the side of Grim Legion. Baron up in 10 seconds, and the following Baron could be enough to decide this game.
Yeah, and with Triple Mountain, it's going to be hugely in your favor, as we're going to see potentially play. No, okay, so we're going to see, we have Triple Mountain onto
Last Breath coming through. The full engage will come through from D-Dog as Osprey using the W to get to safety. As in comes the hook. That's actually really well played. It forces the flash from Jason Jungle at Baron, and Grim Legion, they're just biding their time, waiting for the perfect opportunity. But the bot lane, D-Dog gonna secure this in a turret, surely.
They need to commit.
Yeah, they really do, because they're
letting White Lotus take the initiative, and now they're kind of just scrambling and more playing reactive. I want to see them commit, and they're gonna commit right to the Baron. No Xayah yet, so it's gonna take a while, and TP's coming down.
TP is coming through from Osprey. Baron has been started on the hunt, has been burned. Jason Jungle will go in, the CC coming through. The Baron will be secured. The final chapter has been hijacked. It's a clean fight. 4 kills, 3 kills for nothing, as the new focus is Osprey, who gets taken down. 4 kills for absolutely nothing. We said that this Baron fight could determine the game. It's gone over in favor of White Lotus. They're gonna use this. They're gonna pick up their second inner turret in this mid lane, and with the third 20 seconds until the next moment, it might very well be. That's a flash. That's a fight. The Prowling Projectile will find the big D-Dog, will find the ace. This may very well be a game. 6 seconds until Sleepy Bulbasaur is up. 12 seconds until Hands of Blood. White Lotus with the push. They played it safe. They waited. They found the pick at Baron. The final Nexus turret will fall. White Lotus will take the series 3-1, and they will make their way to the ABL Season 7 semi-finals.
Congratulations to White Lotus, the hard-fought series. Quite back and forth. This game, I think, was finally the time where they were able to calm it down, wait for their timing, wait for D-Dog to set up on that split push, and then commit when they see that opportunity, especially on towards the Baron. Obviously, I do have to give hats off to Grim Legion for making a great turnaround, but White Lotus was the better team today.
And just well played by White Lotus at the end. Grim Legion just a little bit too late pulling the trigger and just lost out to that team fight. But it's come to that time of the day again where we have to put our finger on someone who we think is our MVP. And who do you think that goes to, Nalino?
That's a good question. I think everyone had their moments, really. It's gotta be I think it has to be between one of the bot lanes, between Loki or Phoenix. It's actually hard to tell. I think Phoenix. I think he did, especially that Nautilus game. That was like the big kind of like those big plays that like caught my moments as the difference towards helping them win the game.
Well, hopefully we can get him in for a quick interview before we do wrap things up. And yes, we can. Phoenix, well played.
Oh,
Hello. How's it going?
Oh.
that was going pretty good, man.
Congrats on the win.
Thank you.
Yeah, so how do you feel like the evolution? I'm curious more on like the drafting kind of, because it tended to be most likely the more aggressive bot lane had the advantage toward the game. Is that something you felt similar, and how do you feel the evolution of the draft?
Yeah, for sure. Like game 1, our matchup was like pretty good. The server kind of neutralized it, but in the end, it's just we had better bot lane matchup. Game 2 was probably pretty grief. Our draft was really bad. I don't know. It was just unlucky. Game 3, I was just like, Jason, just sit bottom. Let me just chuck hooks all game. Like, it's pretty free with Kai'Sa Nautilus. They counterpicked themselves bottom on both picks. And game 4, topside kind of ended. I don't know what happened up there. I need to rewatch that later, but we just hard scaled for like 20 minutes, then had one good fight.
Yeah, I'm then curious. Obviously, you talked about your hard scaling. Is that what you, I was about to ask? Like, what were your mentality, guys, like in those like moments in Game 4 where you were having a lot of this Baron dance and just kind of waiting for D-Dog to kind of eventually take over in that side lane?
Yeah, we were just like, let's try to stop like the bleeding and just send people where they need to be, just catch waves, keep like as many wards down safely as possible so we don't get like hooked over walls randomly, which is why I didn't really leave like a champion, because if I get hooked, like it's pretty doomed. And then we're just like, alright, D-Dog, do your job, go poop on their top laner 1v1 while we just handle top side. And he was just like 100 CS up or something at the end, and it's a really good matchup for Yasuo.
Yeah, and it's very comfortable for him too. So.
Yeah, he's a really good Yasuo player.
Yeah, so yeah, coming off of that, were you guys ever I wanted to do a little more curious, were you ever thinking about engaging with J4, or you just decided, you know, you're just gonna wait for your timing?
We had like one fight and we just got like destroyed because we're like so far behind from top side that just wasn't worth fighting until we had at least 3 items on server with Executioner. And then Yasuo was just so far ahead that they had to force Baron, and since they forced Baron, we had really good ult to stop them doing anything if they did like a corridor area. So we pretty much just forced their hand.
Alright, cool. So I know you guys just won this series, and I know you probably haven't looked too far ahead, but most likely, I think FBM has their choice, but most likely they're going to be choosing you, I would think. So thinking towards FBM, they like to play a lot of skirmishing, a lot of like topside plays, kind of like champions that can basically 2v2, 3v3. How are you guys? What are you guys maybe initial reactions to playing them, and like maybe like some initial plans you guys might have to deal with that?
I don't want to like go too in depth and then
Yeah.
just give stuff away, but it's their choice. They can choose whichever team they want. I personally think me and Lucky are the best bot in the league, so if they want to send their bot to go against us, that's their decision. So that's pretty much all I can say.
All right, cool. I like the confidence.
Yeah, we do like the confidence. But yeah, massive congrats to you, Phoenix, for the win. You guys played really clean. And yeah, massive congrats to yourself for picking up MVP, and best of luck to you and the rest of the team.
Yeah, man. Thanks,
Oh yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah. Quickly, shoutouts, yeah.
Just shout outs to my team, man. They kept it together in these games. Any mistake they made, we just kept a good mental. So appreciate them.
All right. Well, massive thank you to you, Phoenix, for joining us for this quick interview. And once again, congrats on the MVP.
Yeah, thank you.
Right, guys, it has been a grueling set of 4 matches, but it was White Lotus who came out on top, taking the series 3-1 against Grim Legion. First Blood Marauders will get the pick on who they play in the semifinals, but it's likely that your semifinals will be Dynasty versus Recon 5 and White Lotus versus First Blood Marauders. The scheduling for that will be out soon, I believe. However, a massive thank you from myself and for Nalina. We hope you have enjoyed the cast and the 4 games that we've had today. So from both of us, it's good night and enjoy the rest of your evening.